What's up? Good evening, everyone. Suggestions. Gift a suggestion. International Master Sladgie Pawnda subscribers. Game analysis stream here on lichess and Twitch. Oh no, maybe. Mr. Coffee, if you can't do it, you can't do it. I'll have to. Buddy Duddy. Don't be like that. Mujer. Mujer. Spanish for woman. Su mujer. What? Where's all my bots? I feel like some of my bots have been removed or something. Used to be all these weird bots that would follow me. Not a lot, just a few, but... Alright. I don't subscribe to bots. They just, once in a while, they randomly, like, attach themselves. Some random player has sort of a bot account and will follow your stream. They'll remain there for a long time. But I don't get my own bots like some streamers. Alright, so our first game is from ABC FIGM. Budapest must be boiling. It wasn't... Yeah, it was boiling yesterday. I haven't been outside today. Thursday is like a heavy work day, and see this? I got my air conditioner on. It's pretty hot, but I've heard it's hot in Helsinki, so, you know, it's hot everywhere. But I got the air conditioning on. 37 Celsius tomorrow in Belgrade. Well, I got the air conditioning on here at the moment. Set for 25. I don't remember if I got your game or not. You might have to jog my memory with a donation or something. Listen, everybody. Air conditioning on. Nice bottle of wine. They're coming out with studies again that are claiming that wine is like a small amount of alcohol is actually reducing cardiac problems. In 1979, the original first study said like a little bit of wine is good for you. Then recently they like reversed it and said no amount of alcohol is good for you. Then yesterday I saw another study that's saying like a low amount of alcohol is actually good for your heart. So they're constantly changing the advice. Astrobate with 530. Only 39,470 to go. Thank you, sir. You guys can also make donations in crypto. Astrobate gifting a tier 1 sub to the community. Gifting a tier 1 sub to Eric the Red. Eric the Red only comes for my Nylon Mask discussion streams. Guys, ready for the Nylon Mask Mark Zuckerberg cage match? I'd love to see Mark Zuckerberg just like smash his face. That's not gonna happen. Sorry. Alright. But anyway, not that I'm a fan of Mark Zuckerberg, but if I have to choose between billionaires, alright. So we got ABC FIGM versus Mark B. Reading studies is quite good, apparently. You figured the cage fight would come up? Well, Zuckerberg actually, like, does martial arts. So, I guess, you know, Elon Musk's, like, fatness isn't going to compensate enough. He's like me, he's old and fat. I don't think he would have a chance. You know, realistically. Unless someone, like, placed him on top of Mark Zuckerberg. Or he accidentally fell on Mark Zuckerberg. Just keep a distance. Alright, but anyway. All jokes aside, What do we got? Elon Musk is fatter and older than me, but not by much on either count. We got ABC FIGM and Mark, National Master Mark. Kick has usurped Twitch because Twitch has said no to hawking wares. Ooh, Aspie, be careful. Alright, we're starting the stream officially now. I'm gonna start hawking my wares because I've had a few people like quit lessons. I am gonna open up the possibility of teaching private lessons to a few selected people who are interested. Mr. Coffee's in the process of trying to activate a lessons command, but I might have to supervise. Generally speaking, I don't get a lot of chances because people generally start taking lessons and we stay together and I keep teaching them for years, you know. And I only recently had a couple of people leave and take the summer off. So due to perpetual brokenness, I might have to take some additional people on. All right, Bijak, you're kind of like a version of Repunj. You're funny. Yeah, we see you, man. We see you. Raise your hand. What's up? One must be ready to think about one's level of play in order to lessen by the master. The neighbors are so loud around here. You want a donation to get one. Did I get a donation? Oh my god, Bijak just donated a gift sub. That counts. Alright. Do we push you up in the list now or what? You guys want to push him up in the list? First place? We haven't had Nils in a long time. Where's Nils? Nils who likes to buy his way into first game. Good. Dude, it's totally okay, Anonymous. It's better not to know about that. Where the heck is my Muhair game? Ah, there he is. Muhair. Alright, so Muhair is white. I don't know why the tags didn't come out for this game. I copied it. But it's Muhair versus... What do you mean I didn't even get your game? Your game is right here. The bleep are you talking about, dude? Are you sure you're from Serbia? Because I could swear you were like a 12-year-old from Southeast Asia. Are you sure you're like, you know, going to law school in Serbia? Alright. Serbian law. There he is, Mr. America. You're not a subscriber, Repunch. No more getting banned if you're not a subscriber. Sorry. Alright, so... Is my game in there? Are we there yet, Doctor? Haha, I totally understand your feelings. He was identified by Sladgie in a few moves' time. So this is Schumacher playing white against the Grandmaster in the qualifying tournament for the Kazakhstan Masters. Nefedov got all angry. He likes Kazakhstan, so he doesn't like Borat jokes. But I'm totally happy like the World Senior is not in Kazakhstan. It's a little too close to Russia for my taste. Literally and figuratively. But okay, d4, knight f6, c4, g6. So what's the name of this opponent here? My tags didn't get saved, or where's the tags? Why the tags didn't get saved? I guess when I transferred the game over, it's I remember now. Schumacher versus Ganikush in Hungarian Ganikush. Whoever Ganikush is playing black here. And the time control Schumacher can tell us. H3. 3-0. Man, that's some serious time control you got there. Well, I know they had different time controls for the Kazakhstan Whirlwind Tour. Getting a challenge here. Asteroid gifted a tier 1 sub to Repunj. Jan Hersky is a kid from Ukraine who followed the stream. But Jan, I'm not taking challenges today, probably. If you'd like to submit a game, perhaps we'll consider it. Damn it, we open up today. What does that mean? The net problem. India is now the most populous country in the world. And Modi is in America. But we're not going to talk about politics today. Too much work to do. H3, okay, D6, Bishop E3, and like all moves are possible here, but I like Bishop E3. With Bishop G5, it doesn't seem quite as central. I really want black to play E5 in these H3 lines, and it feels like Bishop G5 only discourages black to not play E5, which is really what we want him to do, you know. So you see the database here, like the number 1 most popular move is Bishop G5, but it feels like with Bishop G5, you're literally encouraging black to not do the thing that you want him to do in these types of lines. Repunj Bansal, submit a game. Mr. Coffee, interesting H3 first. Yes, exactly. That is a very important concept here. The Mikhaganov system has the best score of all the lines against the King's Indian in this lichess database. And it's an annoying line to play against. So I like Bishop E3. You know, the interesting thing is that C5 can be played here nevertheless. And I've played every move like against Schumacher probably in this position. Schumacher, I thought we saw a game where you had maybe like C5 knight F3 or something. You tried to keep the tension. That's shockingly the number 1 move. Wow. I would honestly say that's like almost literally shocking. You know, this makes me wonder, like, is this where this idea of H3 against the Marazzi like was invented? You know, for a while I was like wondering, like, where did these people start playing H3 against the Marazzi? And then it's like knight F3, pawn takes pawn, knight takes D4, and if black plays knight C6 here, bishop E2, and now we know where that comes from. It's funny, I never really thought about it. The game I was talking about? Yeah. Yeah, I remember. Yeah. So this is essentially where this idea comes from. It's like reverse engineered. It's actually a King's Indian. I had never really thought about it that way. So, unclear how dangerous this really is for black. But, you know, I also think like you need to seriously consider the classical kind of approaches here with D5. The placement of this bishop at E3. We've had this before too. I don't know if it's bad. I don't know. I've done my share of like Morozevich exchange sacks on e3. I mean, it's weird because like you know you could take back with the c pawn on d5, can't you? On like e6, bishop d3, e takes d5. Why can't you play c takes d5 here? Because of b5? Damn, nobody played it. That's so sick. That's so sick. 3 games and not one player played it correctly for black. That's unbelievable. 2300, a 2265, and a 22 something. What are the chances like 0 out of 3 2300 players couldn't find the right move here for black? That's kind of crazy. Okay, they're old games from 1996 and prior, but I still can't believe not at least one of them tried b5. That's got to be the idea. Okay. And on knight f3, pawn takes pawn. Now c takes is a move. So this is interesting, maybe. You might want to look at this. I mean, this seems to be playable. Rook e8. It's not clear. With this bishop on e3. There are lines where white plays bishop g5, and then black plays h6, and the bishop retreats back to e3. It's the same thing, but black just hasn't played h6. Which is probably favorable for black, honestly. Less weaknesses. Anyway, I just wanted to have a little quick discussion about this. This position with c5. Black played e5, and now look at the score, man. I mean, it just like goes off the charts. It's funny though, like if you look at the opening explorer, c5 score doesn't look that much better than e5. My experience with black is like it's much better to play c5. All right, e5. Yeah, here you know you had a game where you did like knight f3 or something. Dusan the Great. Maybe that's what I was thinking about. Are you sure you didn't have a game once where you did this? Just once? No, here, yeah, I know you usually play d5. Yeah, I guess it's maybe it's my hallucination. Alright, so then the big million dollar question, get Mr. Slow and get Gawain Jones lifetime repertoire on the King's Indian, because otherwise you're like screwed here. Black better know, you know, what the hell they're doing, or they're super screwed in this line. And I honestly don't know. Old school, like the first days when this variation was invented, black used to try to play like, I feel like they tried to play like knight h5. Then black realized like that move's no good. They maybe tried, could you try to modify it with like here? Karpov Anand 2007. Damn, Karpov lost with white here. Karpov Anand 2007. And Queen e8 might be an interesting alternative. Alright, Gannicus played a5. I feel like I remember this guy's name. I'm not sure who it is. I'm assuming it's a Russian GM, but I could be wrong. Yeah, g4 now. You know, the other possibility is knight a6. So I couldn't decide when I analyzed from black's perspective. Honestly, it's really, really hard to say like which move is better, knight a6 or a5. But I would consult with Gawain Jones. They're both very common. Okay, so g4, yes. Here you see Caruana Nakamura. But I mean, normally Black's gonna play knight a6. Black's setup is basically the same he would play in a Petrosian system, and this is kind of a Petrosian system. It's just like a really aggressive one with g4 instead of like knight f3. And then white plays knight to gd2. Okay, I don't know. I think you can play either move. There must be a reason why people don't play knight f3, knight d2 here. But what's the reason? Knight f3. I guess that would just transpose to a different variation. Right, you don't have f3. It would transpose to, I guess, a knight f3, which is a possibility, but I think it's still not a bad move. So your idea is to play f3 at some point, Yeah, I've had this with black, and I didn't like it. So this looks like it's a mistake. Lodge Gabor played that in 2019, but the problem in these sort of positions is if you play knight c5 and white plays like f3, that's it. You know, your knight is just stuck there and then there's nothing to do. I mean, effectively, like this type of pawn structure, the knight on c5, that's why you don't put the knight on c5 against, it's essentially like a same-ish variation now. No, it's horrible for black. I hate these variations. Mr. Slow did play something involving h5 against me, but I think it was like I was white and he was black, but it was something like later. h5 seems like an important idea. White plays f3. So maybe that's the problem with knight f3. Let's take a look there. If you play knight f3, does black have h5? This is an idea. Damjanovic has a game. He's like a legendary King's Indian player. Why are there only like, you know, Yugoslavs? Strikovic, Damjanovic. There's no f3 here, so white has to like sack a pawn. Because of Ligorich, yeah, probably. So, although Ligorich was a big expert on the Nimzo as well. I mean, he wrote the book on the Nimzo, ironically. Move 11, welcome. When does your tournament start this weekend? So knight e2, you know, it kind of stops h5, I guess, from being a good move. So now you have to, black's supposed to play knight d7. Yeah, this is Caruana Nakamura. But do we see any Gawain Jones anywhere? That's kind of concerning, you know? What if I go back and I put the knight on a6 instead? And then we check the list. G. Jones, first game. G. Jones, fourth game. Demchenko, G. Jones. Alright, I'm sold. I'm gonna go on statistics. I think maybe knight a6 is better. Yo, you could actually transpose and put the knight on c5 and play a5 later too. It looks like knight a6 is just more flexible. Alright, so a5, g4, knight a6, knight e2, knight c5. Now the knight's stuck there. It can get chopped in some moment. You did knight g3. He plays c6, which is a standard idea. Oftentimes the queen comes like out there to attack the queen side. And this is a grandmaster playing black in a 3-2 game. Now you made another move that wouldn't be possible in a knight f3 variation, which is like putting your queen on d2. The advantage of this is that, you know, in a wonderful fantasy world, we might have like a kind of Yugoslav attacking, like a Yugoslav variation of the dragon attacking plan, but with queen on d2, you know, oftentimes in the King's Indian, you're vulnerable to getting hit by knight takes e4. However, if you play f3, that's not an issue. The first question I have for you, is it better, you know, to play f3? Like, how do you know if it's better to play f3 or knight g3 first? I don't know. You know, I'm just saying, like, I'm not sure. It does look like your knight is gonna, like, go here probably, like, almost 100% of the time. There's h5. But I'm not sure h5 is a great idea. Anyway, more questions than answers. Okay, c6. And now, the majority of players here have played bishop e2 for white. Let's say you played bishop e2 and black played queen b6. Are they in trouble here? Are they in trouble with like knight a4? Yeah. No. There's queen check. So, queen b6. Apparently g5 is a problem. But notice the computer wants to put the queen on c2, where it sort of dominates the knight and keeps b2 guarded. Not d2, but c2, keeping e4 overprotected. Your favorite square as well. There's a problem, you know. Like, if you put the queen on d2, you'll never be able to play a3 because of this. Okay, without queen b6. But just saying. So if you go here, you know, you got to watch this fork on b3. Anyway, the game was queen d2, which looks a little bit unusual. Now he takes, and now you took with the c pawn. Does black have b5? Black doesn't have b5 yet, although Mr. Slow did that against me at some point in our game. You took back the classical way. This is a little unusual to take this way in general, because this can open up, you know, black can break through in the middle. So it's much more classical to take like c takes, bishop d7, now f3. And so we transpose back into top games, and the vast majority of players here played rook c8, which is not an obvious move, really, because the rook is sort of behind this a pawn in most cases. Yeah, like the a4 move would be more sort of typical. The black players have played h5, but the question with that is, like, how effective is that really? Okay, our plan there is like a same-ish. Okay, well, I mean, I think the proper idea is to play like h4. Ivan Sokolov, where's move 11? Where's move 11's, you know, discussion with Ivan Sokolov class about like h pawn, sacrificing the h pawn or whatever? Can black do like an h pawn sacrifice? So what we'll do is we're going to put it on h4. Yeah, no, it's takes. Okay, here, takes. Wait, can we do this or something? Move 11. You're the expert on Ivan Sokolov h pawn sacrifices. What, is there some kind of crazy ass shit where you can just sacrifice your h pawn and then try to keep control of the position? I mean, this looks pretty bad, actually. I don't think this is a good example of sacrificing your h pawn. I'm not really understanding. Oh, I get it. So they take with the knight, and then on knight takes you have queen h4 check. That's the idea. So these are correspondence games. These are correspondence games. So now it doesn't matter where your queen was. Queen f2, queen h5. Black keeps the structure intact, but the queen is really suspiciously placed on h5. And now all correspondence players played bishop takes c5. But frankly, you know, I mean, I guess black's threatening f5. This looks a little dodgy for white. I'm not sure, like, I really like bishop takes c5 that much, or this whole variation. So he played h5, and this actually happened. Wow. I'm not sure about g takes h5. If you don't play g takes h5, what's he going to do? Is he going to play h4? This is interesting. So P. Arun has a game against the 2300 where he played a different move. P. Arun played rook g1. Taking on g4 looks like a complete disaster for black. Okay, move 11 is submitting a lichess blitz game. Move 11 is changing his pants. Oh no, Uber driver's here. Rook g1, so h4, knight h1, and now like the standard procedure would be like knight h7 for black with the idea of bishop here, bishop here. But P. Arun's idea with the rook, I guess, is to overwhelm g5. Now if black wants to play, he has to pay to play, which means playing like f6 or something. And this is getting really interesting and quite double-edged. It's also not clear. It's not clear about Mama's suggestion of bishop b5. Mama, ooh, I didn't mean to make you cry. Blah, 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 blah. Carry on, carry on. That's just for Uber Driver, little sonata there. Uber Driver's the big suggestion is the classic little karaoke here. The big, deep suggestion of bishop b5. Yes, that can be a thing. That is a thing. It's been tried. 2 correspondence games. h4, knight on g to e2. Notice there's no P. Arun here. Knight on g to e2. And now knight h7. Notice these are computers playing black. They're not afraid of wrong stream. Knight on g to e2. Don't answer that. You're in the wrong stream. This is analysis of game stream, not discussion of chess politics. Knight on g to e2, or popular trends. Knight on g to e2. Knight h7, bishop d7, queen d7, bishop c5. And that's like what basically happened to me against Mr. Slow. I thought, oh goody, I like traded off his light square bishop, and then somehow I got like destroyed by the bishop on g7. If he gets in b5, you're done. So you've got to play a4. Yeah, see, like this is interesting. It seems like, oh wow, white has a great position, but it's actually not so simple. I mean, black has some sources of counterplay. I guess if our king is on g2, somewhere safe, white has a stable advantage, plus 0.7. You don't give up the e3 bishop unless a gun is to your head. I agree, like that's kind of the right idea, but I've seen it done. You know, you got to be very careful about doing that. This is an extremely strong piece that shouldn't normally be traded for a knight. Yeah, Uber Driver's right about that. It should not be traded for a knight, only under like very special considerations. So we followed the line here, these correspondence games. Takes, knight takes, queen h4 check, queen f2, queen h5, and then Schumacher busting the opening book on the Grandmaster. The knight sucks, right? That's why you took it, right? Black's gonna blast you with some sort of f5 here. Let's just have a discussion for a second. There's a couple of strategic threats, like f5, bishop h6, trading off your, super b. The fact that your king is not in the center isn't clearly an advantage. What else? But I would be skeptical that everyone here played bishop takes c5, because all of these games were played in the same sort of correspondence tournament, probably. This is definitely not a no-brainer. You did it as well. And now you played a theoretical novelty with bishop e2. Because we know Schumacher has some sort of fetish about not castling. He's like an anti-Uber driver. He's the anti-Uber driver. He's the... We call him Daddy. He's the opposite of Mommy. He has an anti-castling fetish. Dude, it's totally not clear where the king is safe and where it's not here. I mean, I'm not sure it's safe anywhere, to be honest. If you castle queenside, it's like, boom. It's possible that b5 is a move. Even though white could take it like two different ways. I would be a little scared with white here, that my king is entirely safe. But interestingly, a4 was played, which isn't a bad move. Corky. a4 played by Corky. Corky from the short bus. And then f5, which is a very natural move, played by a bunch of people. Well, you got to do something with your king here at some point, and the queens are on the board. And black has an unopposed dark square bishop that's going to wreak havoc here at any moment. So white plays bishop e2. I wouldn't classify this as an exciting move. Well, we're going to see what black does now, because this move, there's possible f4, possible h4. There's this move, when this seems like kind of an issue. Basically a cheapo, hoping for bishop h6. What are you going to do, castle kingside? So now Gamkus plays rook ac8. Well, that's an exciting move, huh? And now you castle queenside. And I gotta be honest with you, I would very seriously consider playing a4 before I castle queenside. It will make it harder for him to play b5. You've got to really seriously consider that move here. I mean, obviously you have to consider bishop b5 as well. This has to be considered. Black can't avoid the exchange of light square bishops. If he plays like bishop f6, you just go h4. Then again, why did you play bishop e2 in the first place if you're going to play bishop b5? So, what about a4? Keeping your options open to play castles queenside, bishop e2, or bishop e5, depending on what black does. I assume black will start opening it up with f5. There's also bishop h6. Yeah, both moves give black sufficient play. So a4 is kind of slow. That's why everyone castled queenside. You played bishop e2, and I guess bishop h6 loses, so by default black should play f5, but he didn't have the guts to do that. Get some guts. So Ganikush got all like materialistic on him and played rook c8. It feels a little inconsistent. Yeah, f5 is probably the bomb. This looks like his best shot. I don't like rook c8, it feels slow. Now, castle's queenside. Again, you could go a4. And then he plays queen g5 check. And this is where we start to see, like, you know, what literally is a 3-0 game. Check, king b1. Now, I really want to know, okay, this sidesteps f4. But he doesn't really benefit by chasing your king to a safer square. What black really wants here is like b5. So he plays c4, threatening b5, h4, and then queen f6. And I guess the thing with queen f6 is he's looking for some lateral connection. h5. Yeah, you got something here. Well, I mean, I thought this made a lot of sense to play queen f4 because I want to play like bishop h6 and then stick my bishop, or rather my queen on e3 and play h5 here. But it may be too slow. I don't know. It looks kind of slow for, you know, for black. I mean, this may be similar to what happened in the game. But I you know, your king is on c1. I think that's... Well, I guess he has to put his queen somewhere, so his alternative is like to go here. Yeah, I mean, it's just not that easy. I guess his real alternative is to play this and allow f4 and be like, whatever, dude. f4 doesn't do anything. But he just didn't play f5. And then this g5 is, yeah, I mean, positionally black's in trouble after g5. If he doesn't get this bishop in the game, we got a serious problem. I guess he figured he could always bring it out on f8. But he needs to like blockade your pawn. So you played h6, opening the h-file. I mean, I guess he has to take it. You distracted him with active play. Now can you triple? Triple dipple. You're not threatening anything. But it looks like a paralyzing sort of move. I guess he has b5. Not paralyzing enough. Well, I mean, yeah, you got maneuvers. This looks good, but you're not quite finishing him off yet. But you know, at some point you need to play like a4 to stop that queenside. Clearly. You never played a4. This lets him have these fluid pawns on the queen side. You like legit didn't have to allow that. And now he breaks through with c3. This shouldn't have happened. Now I thought you would play like bishop d3. I guess. Trying to hold up c2 and going for this. You have knight f5 check. I mean, pawn takes pawn, knight f5 check, bishop takes, pawn takes. And maybe he's got something here, you know. But I'm not certain. It looks pretty scary. Yeah, you're in danger here. Yeah, you lost the thread by giving him counterplay on the queen side. We had to blockade him at some point, and then attack on the king side. He just dropped a piece. Yeah. All right. Yeah, it's a pity. You know, you castle queenside and just like lost there, but it's 3-0 game. I mean, what are you gonna do? Uber driver. Asterbait, thanks for gifting a tier 1 sub to John Kafka. Greydew. Greydew has followed. No problem at all. Also resubscribed for 28 months. That was 29 minutes ago. I'm sorry, no problem at all. I noticed you and then I got distracted by the game. Thanks for subscribing and reappearing here on the stream. We need your support, guys. We got $154 toward Sicily 2023. 130 days to go or less. I don't know what the evaluation in the end. In the end, you're down a piece. That's the evaluation. All right. Hey, where's Miro? How did Hey, where's Miro get first? He's not supposed to be first. All right, that was a mistake. It's ABC FIGM. Rickshaw River. Rickshaw drivers are not good poker players, in my opinion. In my experience. All right. So, this is ABC FIG. I'm playing a simul against some guy. Some national master. Nidorfian, 20 plus 5. So, I mean, if white doesn't have an idea, there's always like the Karyakin I forgot my computer variation. Or knight b3 or something, neutral, like Grishuk has played this. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of bishop d3, but I mean, this is a amputated octopus. Common in the f4 lines. You know, I do think it encourages black to adopt like a Dragendorf type of thing with g6, which is also common in the f4 Nidorfs. I mean, black will often do this just like, you know, immediately. But I feel like bishop d3 kind of encourages g6. It's not surprising to see that's one of the most common moves here. g6 just kind of blunts the bishop. And, you know, and white's setup against the dragon isn't typically with the bishop on d3. That was Nick DeFermian's first reaction when Emery Tate played this against him, you know, g6. It's like, does your setup make sense against the dragon? Not really. And this is a safe king side for black, so I think g6 is good in addition to the move you played. e5 is really, if you think about it, I mean, I guess this is the point. But I mean, this is like the worst square for the bishop. On c4, it's active. On e2, at least it like controls this diagonal. Can go to like f3. But on d3, it has, you know, no play. I mean, all of these moves are good for you. So you played this, and then white, I don't know how to describe this, you know. For me, this is like the 2005 YouTube watcher variation. Knight takes c6. I don't know, man. I mean, I see like some good players have played this. Larson played it in 1986. The Palmiachi beat Duda with it. Motolev played it once. You know, but I don't really see like the justification for this stuff, you know. Maybe it's like computer type of stuff. I've seen people doing it with black against the English in a lot of lines. I mean, this more or less like, it's a fundamental mistake against the Sicilian. I guess you see people doing like b3. Maybe b3 makes the most sense, trying to use this diagonal. But I mean, eventually black can play like e5. It's just like a setup that white can play. I don't think it's very good, you know, despite the fact that Nepomniachtchi and some other good players have played it. But I guess the other thing is, like, once you play bishop d3, like, you know, there's nothing else you can do. So everything else sucks worse than knight takes c6. Knight b3 is just like a classical, you know, classical dragon with the bishops on a weird square. You know, there's a game here by Fogarashi Tibor, who's a friend of mine. And, you know, oddly enough, I remember, it wasn't in 2002, it was later. I saw Tibor play this against the Najdorf. You know, and that was back in the like early mid 2000s when, you know, this was probably played in a lot fewer games. And I was really surprised. I was like, what? Because Fogarashi wrote a lot of articles for magazines and like New in Chess, and he's very up on theory. So I was kind of surprised to see him, you know, playing something innocuous like this. But I mean, basically it's just, like, every other variation of the Najdorf has been analyzed to death. So people are sort of desperately looking for new things. That's why we see these moves like knight b3 from Grishuk and a3. It shouldn't be dangerous. I mean, basically you can play anything you want here. So takes, castles, and now you really have to stop and think about like what kind of position you want to play. The move a6 doesn't contribute a lot to black's position. It's kind of like a wasted tempo. And I mean, you really have to be careful about this push from white. And I think this square is very important. We want to keep e5 under control. I mean, I get these kind of positions from the classical Sicilian and the dragon, accelerated dragons. So long as white can't play e5, I feel like, you know, it's hard for white to come up with a plan. They'll typically just move their pieces around with no concrete ideas. The issue is, I guess, for black, you know. I don't really like playing this move personally. It looks like you got some good players here who have played it. But I found that this pawn structure can be a little tricky. Of course, white can play f4, or white can play maybe for c4, c5 later on. Yeah, well, I mean, a6 is a waste of tempo. As far as bishop a6, I don't think that's something that we want to do almost ever in this type of position. But definitely in terms of a waste of tempo, a6 is... The only good thing about a6 is like it might free us up to like laterally transfer the rook here, or possibly maneuver our queen to a7 or something. The use of the a7 square could be a positive for black, but it's very minor. So you played e5. I would play g6. And then on f4, we evaluate whether or not this is actually a threat. It doesn't seem like it. It's a classical dragon where white has put the bishop on d3. Perhaps white can play something else, but I mean, he's got to watch his b pawn on b2, and it's tricky to keep that protected. And that's why you see some examples of b3, I guess. It may be too late here for b3. Gypsy 9999. Well, I mean, this is a very typical structure in the Najdorf. It's just a standard Najdorf where the bishop's on d3 and black is captured here on c6. But the beauty of this is there's no weakness on d5. You're playing the black side of Najdorf with no weakness on d5. It's kind of a decent place to be. Alright, I just like personally prefer g6, but it's a matter of taste. I think e5 is okay. And now queen e2 is like, it's just a move. To be honest, like I think white's bishop should transfer to c4. And if white could do it immediately, I guess my question would be like, well, why not? Let's just ask an obvious question. If you can play bishop d3, c4 in this position, why would you not put it on c4? Because it's already on d3? Well, that's a stupid reason. This bishop here, it's an excellent blocker on b3 of like pressure along the b file. It keeps control of d5. I mean, I guess black can play bishop e6. And then the question becomes, you know, what does white do? Trade, bishop e3. And if you get something like this, black has to be really careful that his center doesn't get overextended, or there's some sort of complications. You can't just like push those pawns randomly. And I'm not even sure about this. All right, so what does the computer say? Knight e4 is the best move. According to the computer, knight e4 is the best move. Oh my god. So the plan is this Nimzovician. Vladimir Kopia and Klinger, 1987. The Nimzovician Hayats Miro attack. Hayats Miro did something very similar to me in a Spanish the other day. See, that's the problem with this structure with e5. White will have c4, c5 lever. No, I mean, Uber driver, f4 is just a standard move. That's what most noobs do. But you can see, like, white's never won a single game with that. Oh, there is one. Oh, David Navarro beat a 2300. Shocking. No, I like this better, man. It's called Nimzovich. You know, Nimzovich basically was a master of blockade and hypermodernism, but he also presented the very important idea that one should attack the base of the pawn chain, not the head of the pawn chain. When you play f4, you're attacking black's head on e5. You're attacking black's strong point on e5. It's like, this is better, man. c4, c5 is better. But that's a subtle plan. Queen e2 does nothing. Bishop e7, and then he does the noob plan. But it's still, it looks like this is a much better plan. There may be a problem now, though. I mean, you could attack the knight. Not really. It's still a better plan for white to go for c4, c5. I'm not sure like how much benefit is derived by putting the queen there. But he just goes plowing ahead with the standard thing, you know, f4. And here with black, I don't know, you know, what we should do. I'm not really afraid of pawn takes pawn. I'm definitely not afraid of pawn takes pawn, and I'm not afraid of f5 yet. But f5 could be a thing later on, once we castle. I don't know, Uber driver, you're going to have to make a donation to put up with those comments. f4 hinders d5. Well, I mean, already black can't play d5. There's no reason to hinder it, you know. How am I going to play d5 with this queen on the e5 pawn? It's not easy. You have indirect pressure here already. There's no need for white to play f4. I think it's just a move, you know, that's like white didn't know what else to do. But this looks like, okay, Joe Veach. This is John Veach, but I just remembered there was a master from New Jersey named Joe Veach. Yeah, knight e4, b3, f4, castles, and now king h1 was played by Shaposhnikov. That's a sensible thing to do, but still, you know, doesn't solve anything particularly. Instead, white made the horrifying bishop e3 move. Horrifying. So now, yeah. See, if you play king h1 first, that would be okay. Like, for example, I don't know, king h1, a5, bishop e3, knight g4, bishop g1. you know, maybe there's some justification for this. But this guy was like just not playing with a plan, so he just randomly like put his bishop on e3 like a new knight g4, and now black is better, I guess. First of all, you can use the e5 square for your knight. Secondly, he has to defend the threat of queen b6, queen takes b2. So basically, I'm not sure if bishop d2 is good enough. Let's check it out. Check, king here. Queen takes b2. Is our queen trapped? Is the queen trapped yet? It is trapped. It's victim to tactics. Yeah, here, 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 and bam. Okay, so he can play bishop d2. He can and should. And in that case, since you don't want to just get kicked back, you should probably, and queen b6 only helps him, like put his king on a proper square. You should take. Then rook takes, and your knight has a good square. Possibly bishop g5 here. But he gives you his bishop. And you're like, yeah, I like that bishop. And now black is better. Alright. Now, there's no way I'm accepting a draw from a national master in this position. On the other hand, I know that black's advantage, it's not like winning. I'm slightly better. It's kind of like a long-term advantage. But it's a tricky position. I mean, is white really threatening anything? You know what I'm concerned about? Him taking on e5 and playing like bishop c4 again. If we just like say make a random move, for argument's sake again, like a5, and he does this and then plays this, that bishop is super annoying, you know? Despite the fact that our bishops are pretty good, like what are we going to do about that thing, you know? And bishop a6, yeah, I mean, dude, it's just like never trade off the bishop pair. That's why I was critical of the other suggestion. Yeah, I mean, okay, maybe we're equal here at best, but we have a crappy structure, Uber driver, at the end of the day. I mean, there's no way that black is really better here. It's possible that black's somewhat worse. Well, I like this decision to play pawn takes pawn for black. I'm not saying a5 is a good move. It's just a move I wanted to just throw in a move. You know, you could play something else. I mean, maybe bishop f6 is interesting. This is kind of a very, very maximalist, kind of patient move. What do you guys think? Bishop f6, go with your instinct. Streamlabs may not work if it's through credit card. But if it said it went through, it did go through. Thank you. Gypsy9999, yes, $20. Happy to support one of the remaining sane chess content channels. I don't think I'm sane, but other adjectives might apply. That's awesome. Thank you, Gypsy. Awesome donation, $20, taking us up to 174 for the World Senior. Super generous. So f5, but now it's, you know, dude, this isn't happening, Uber driver. That's not happening. I mean, black has too much. This toothpick is too strong here. It's going to take white 5 or 6 moves to play g4 or g5, and by then we're just blasting him with d5. You know, so this is a situation where this shit starts to get really, really hot in the middle. Now you're threatening to fork him. So now he's going to have to play like knight e2 or something. Now maybe he can do the Nimzovich-Ian blockade, and I'm just saying like this would be a good way for black to play for a win. The game would be very tense, but it's a real possibility. And I think that black's king side is totally defensible. I'd also like to trade queens if I could get it. Okay, so if we really want to find the best move for black, Truthfully, it might be something like rook b8, hitting the pawn, and then on b3 you play queen b6 and you try to trade queens. White maybe won't trade queens, but if he were to trade queens, I feel like black's position is much safer, less losing chances. Computer has it at 0-0 here, 0.1. But I think there's still chances for both sides. So the point is that this is interesting though. You know, you're opening the position for the two bishops. Maybe this is black's best move. I'm thinking like maybe you did the right thing with pawn takes pawn because you're guaranteed to be able to play bishop f6. And then he should put his bishop on c4. You know, the funny thing is he never moved that dumb bishop. Bishop f6 and now queen f3. I mean, hoping that you get something on that square is definitely not happening after this. Now you're better. You're like clearly better for the first time, I think. Black is clearly better. Tolia plays rook takes f4. Tolia loses exchange. So queen takes f4, bishop f6, queen f3, and now you just develop. And you know, this is a good move too. Maybe it's even better because you're preventing him from bishop c4. So this is best move. Rook a b1. Now white's position is really lame. So I think you've got a pretty big advantage here, like 1.5, +1 at least for black. Whew, it's +1.5. I said 1.5. 1.5 advantage for black. But a5 isn't necessary. I guess he's not threatening b4. So you don't need to do this yet. If he were threatening b4, I would consider playing a5 maybe. But this is good. You got this, the b file. You're just better. Huge advantage. Yeah, and so white is like super, super happy to get a draw here. I mean, your two bishops are just like incredibly strong. Clear advantage to black. All right, but I mean, I think the striking thing about this game, I realize white's playing a simul, but his bishop on d3 never moved. And that I think it illustrates the harmlessness of this bishop d3 setup, but it also shows that white had sort of an inability to correct that. He didn't want to accept the fact that like the bishop is bad at d3. He had several chances to play bishop c4 and still didn't do it. Just because you put your bishop on d3 doesn't mean you shouldn't play bishop c4 later. Yeah, no, that bishop is got to be, a temporary thing, but it's not meant to like sit there the whole game without ever moving. Uber driver, it's a big pawn. Asterbait with 3 gift subs. Bjock with 1 today. We've got 500 bits from Uber driver. All right, I'm getting a challenge, but we're not taking challenges now. Uber driver, you're next. Guess who's next? It's Uber driver with my favorite new move, a3. So last stream I played a3 or maybe it was yesterday? I don't remember, but somebody played g6 against me. Ubatis doesn't agree, but I think this is like one of black's best moves. Rendering a3 useless. No, to be honest, like any move is good here for black. d5, e5, c5. But I like g6. Because if you play b4, you get bishop g7, and now white doesn't have a great move. Like, this is ugly, this is bad. Knight c3 is weird. Alright, so black played e5, sorry, a3, e5, Uber driver is white. Oh, Uber driver tried my system. It's the Scandinavian in reverse with a3. a3, a6 symmetrical. Did Anderson play d4? Uber driver? He might have, right? Adolf Anderson, who we've already talked about, had a terrible score against Morphy, and they played a match. You know, the notable thing is that Anderson played a3 with white against Morphy, and assuming like he played it against other people. The second interesting thing is he also played the Scandinavian. So I'm supposing this is one would only guess that there's games going back to the 1800s here. Alright, opponent, he takes d4. Probably the best move. There's some lines with a6 ICTs involving queen d6 and queen d8. You don't play a6 if you're going to put the queen on a5, I guess. The queen would go to a square other than a5, so d1 or d3. But interesting, another possibility here would be knight f3. I think the problem there, again, is a3. You know, now this sort of c5 sort of thing, I mean, I don't think we can play it like a gambit as soundly, having wasted time with a3. So you have to take with the queen. Knight c6. Yeah, see, like two people here played queen a4, and I don't get it. You know, I mean, I'm having trouble understanding queen a4. Plinko. Studio 30. No, some noob. Shelby Getz played queen d2 against John Fedorovich. That's pretty shocking. No. He wouldn't do that. He's too good a player. Yeah, just some random guy put his queen on a4 twice. I mean, that's not a smart move. No, you don't do it with a3. Shelby Getz is a FIDE master from like Maryland. He was a pretty solid player. He used to be over 2400 USCF. He drew with Fedorovich, probably a friendly game, but I mean, d3 makes sense. d1 makes sense, although I like d3 better. Sladgie with white. I played d3 3 times. A win against Mule Skinner, a draw with Nefedov, and a loss against Constant Change. That was a mystery account. Constant Change. Anyways, that's going back a ways. 2016. Repunch, you're close to a timeout. Alright, knight c6. No distracting me. Yeah, I feel like I saw this game already. But Uber Driver, I've got to ask you a question. I mean, something struck me I didn't like about g3. It feels like Uber Driver is trying for too much with this move. I guess our lack of control of c4 bothers me. Normally you're going to have a setup like with e3, b3 or b4, bishop e2, knight f3, bishop e2, and then c4. Like a standard sort of car or whale structure, like this. Whale car. I think this square has propensity to be kind of tricky. Let's see what happens. Okay, so d5 is a great move, very principled, clicking down on c4, e4, clicking down. I have invented a new adjective. A verb, whatever. See, like, I don't know. How are we going to do this? We're going to play like knight d2? I mean, that looks kind of passive. What's critical? I don't know why I'm so critical of poor Uber driver. Alright, d5 here, and then bishop e6. Yeah, I mean, here we go again with the amputated octopus. No, I also don't think queen d3, queen d1's... Well, I mean, again, I guess queen d1 makes more sense with e3. Because you would have extended diagonal here. I'm not sure that g3 like gels with queen d1 that well either. We're talking about a minor issue. But if I'm black in this position, I mean, the classical move is bishop c5. You know, he was probably worried about b4, but I mean, you know, bfd. I've got pressure on f2. And I think you're going to see that there are some variations where this square could be problematic. Another move, this makes sense though. He also bears down on c4 with that. That's not so bad. Bishop e6, knight f3. Now he plays bishop c5. You know, perhaps it's more consistent to castle long. But okay, it's a sharp position if he does that. And certainly it's not forced. Black can also make a prophylaxis like h6, stopping knight g5. Black should also play bishop f5. Yeah, I agree. Bishop f5 is also a good move. This sort of idea, controlling e4, it's also possibly preferable to bishop e6. But I don't think bishop e6 is terrible. And I don't think this is bad. And now you castled, which is okay. And black keeps his options open. Black has to be a little bit like careful about b4 quickly. But I think black's most important decision is like where he's going to castle. So black plays queen e7 with the flexibility to castle on either side, depending on what white does. Not a bad idea. b4, not a bad move. Bishop b6, bishop b2. And now I'm looking at the square again and thinking, okay, I feel like I've seen this before. Like if my bishop is on e2 and my pawn is on e3 and my knight is on d2, I can play c4. But if I don't see how we're gonna like challenge this pawn on d5 is my problem here. Descriptive notation, but not literally. a5 is definitely a standard move, but maybe not obligatory. I mean, you know, this isn't really a threat. You know, we're not getting Noah's Ark trapped. So I think this is Uber Driver's biggest question. He's got to show me how he's playing c4. Okay, this is slow. You got to show me how you're getting this move in. Or something else to... How are we getting in c4? I mean, I would play knight on bd2 now. And then the question is, like, which way black's going to castle. If he's not insane, he'll probably castle kingside. Though I don't know why he waited so long. And then I think the question is, how do we play c4? You know, the obvious suggestion would be like rook c1. And then you're looking at black possibly getting counterplay on the queen side, like a Slav. No, this is the question, you know, I don't know. So h6, knight c3, this is definitely like a little unorthodox. So we're delaying this idea of any kind of counterplay against the center. Going for that bishop on a6. Yeah, now black, I wonder if it's even worth it. Wonder if it's worth it to play a6 or not. You know, I'm not that scared. If he plays castles and you play knight a4, that's all fine and good. But I mean, he can drop this on e4. It's a Tarash of sorts. But again, my point is, like, so long as you can't play c4, you know, I don't think that there's any discussion of you having an advantage. What do we do? You know, like here, try to play for mate in one. This sort of scenario, and we win a pawn. You know, that would fly. I would maybe live with that. Even that would probably be not a big deal, but all right, let's see what happens. So he does a6. Obviously knight a4, bishop a7. And now I was expecting like knight to d4 for some reason. There might be a problem there. I don't know. If you play knight to d4, does he have this? Because I'm obsessed with this square, with the c4 square. If you take, he takes with the queen. And then you could take it and play the extreme c4. I have a one-track mind. I only care about playing c4. And then if takes, you like destroy his pawn structure with something like this. Alright, but instead you play knight e5, he takes, bishop takes, and you're not threatening c4. And now my question for you is, like, what are you threatening in this position? Nothing special. Maybe bishop d4? Yeah. So let's say castles, and then the devastating threat of bishop d4. And let's say he probably trades. You take with the queen. Both sides have kind of weak squares there. Thus far, you've been unable to challenge his strong pawn on d5. So I think, while your position is okay, I still wouldn't claim white is better. The computer thinks it's pretty equal, black with a tiny edge. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much equal. But this is insane. I mean, this is typical lichess 2000 move. What planet are you from? Like, no, it's maybe not that bad, but I mean, you got to be very careful here, right? Like, all your pieces are in that zone over there. This is a really risky move by black. Hamza. Asrbi, thanks for giving a gift sub to Hamza. He's from Turkey. Played in our Tuesday tournament, right? The cone of silence. You know, Mr. Coffee, when you're finished working on that lesson command, do you think you could set up some kind of cone of silence? We can, like, when we time people out, we can call it the cone of silence. Or will I get sued by Mel Brooks? Alright. Mel Brooks is still alive. Must be like 98. Bishop d4, exclamation point. And now it's better. Look at that king. This is funny. This is a theme. We've got a theme today about the octopus bishop, the amputated octopus with two legs. It only has 2 legs. Half of its legs are cut off. It's exactly like the last game with bishop d3. Isn't that funny? Can we reach move 20 without moving that bishop again? Now this is a massive threat. But again, UberDriver, without the ability to play c4, is struggling to land an attack. So I think that move might be important, element, right? Watch what happens here. Black doesn't know what to do. I have a suggestion. Does anybody else have a suggestion? Not castle and queenside. Okay. Under the circumstances, we play this. No, I mean for black. It's black's move. He has to play king d8, stopping queen a7, with the idea of retreating the octopus back to c8. And I think that white like still has a pretty big advantage here. But let's just say like there's some chance black can survive. That's what a good player would do with black. But instead of recognizing that there's danger, black's just like, huh? Like, okay, first of all, like I think this bishop is just, sorry, bishop, whatever. The pawn on g7 is just hanging. Black's sort of playing hope chess, like, well, if you take the pawn, I've got some attack over here. Well, that's fine, but you're not paying attention to the other side, where you just placed your king over there on c8. You're getting mated. You're virtually getting mated. Queen a7, threatening, like bishop takes c4 and knight c5. There are other threats: b5, c4, the rooks. And so now black played, I mean, I don't know what to play here for black. It looks like it may be too late. He played queen d6. And then ironically, Uber driver played c4. Uber driver's like the chicken that crossed the road. It was like, why did Uber driver play c4? Because he could. For the first time in the game, he could conquer the c4 square. For $1 million, maybe king d7 is the move that lasts the longest. To just run away, evacuate. Let's just say it leaves like black at least 2 pawns down with no compensation at best possible scenario. But alright. If you want to just avoid getting mated with like 5 seconds left on the clock, I agree. King d7 is your move. Queen d6, c4, knight d2, and like this is just leaving black totally defenseless. Knight c5. Now the last move. Wow. So he has c6 here, but it's made in 1. So there is no defense except for queen takes c5. Repunch. Queen takes c5. Queen takes c5. No, knight f3 check. If we're playing bullet, like this is the best move. First we'll play knight f3 check, stun him. And then while it takes like 2 seconds to take the knight, then we play queen takes c5. And we can stun him again. It's gonna take black at least 4 seconds to at least 4 seconds to recover from the knight and queen sacrifice and win the game. That's why I love bullet chess, because it's so freaking relevant. But it's over. Made in 1. Yeah, I mean at this point, yeah, he can only sack his queen and knight. Alright, but instructive game. Tezek man. Is Tezek in the house? Do we have Tezek man? Guys, thank you for the $20 donation from Gypsy. Tezek man, Asterbait, Nefyadov, hey, where it's Miro. Hey, where it's Miro. Move 11. I love move 11. You're welcome, son. I love move 11's formal requests. Hi, I am submitting a lichess blitz game played last week in the Open Spanish, where I am white. Thanks. I think move 11 has like AI artificially generating his like analysis game requests. Today in the afternoon, move 11 was like on chat GPT. He's like, chat GPT, send a game request to Sladgie. Mr. Coffee, you should try that. I didn't get any brown beer in the mail. It's very strange. Study. Back to study. No, Nefedov, you're already in there. Okay. Yeah, Nefedov's in there. Okay, this is move 11. See, that's why I send you guys... I know it's difficult to do this, but mostly when people send me a game, I'll send, like, thanks. That's basically, Moverov. Movie-ov. Movie night. Yeah, no. Guinness. Send me some Guinness. Alright. The only brown beer I'm drinking is Guinness. We've got Tezekman versus Kadlimba. Oh, you're asking if the game is already analyzed. Absolutely not. You're in 6th position currently. But donations of Guinness can move you up to position 5 or position 4. Alright. But you can simply wait it out. Acerbate's games don't take long. We've got to get through the Tezekman game. It looks like a normal game, like 35 moves. Shouldn't take too long. The only question is, I don't know, Tezekman, what color he was. He must have been white. Repunch. Yeah, Repunch, you sent a game like probably 5 minutes ago or something. For some reason your chat, Repunch, I checked you like earlier yesterday or today and there was nothing from you. So you must have just sent it, you know, just recently. Yeah. So you're basically in near last position. You're before move 11. You're the next to last submitter. Move 11, Repunch, there it is. An hour and 13 minutes ago. Oh no, not a game with me. That's illegal. Coffee Bot. Mr. Coffee Bot. Asteroid again, thank you for donating that gift sub to Hamza. Guys, I just want to reiterate, because of the summer, I've had a couple people that normally take lessons with me take some time off. So I'm still going to be working full-time during the summer teaching private lessons. If anyone is interested in lessons, you can contact me at videochesstrainer@gmail.com. Please don't send me any like phishing links. You can contact me about private lessons. Mr. Coffee's working on a lesson command. Oh no, not email. Not again. Mr. Coffee, you couldn't fix it? We're still on email? You're supposed to delete the email command. I just don't pay Mr. Coffee enough. Alright, so if anyone's interested in lessons or you know someone who's interested in lessons, contact me. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Asterbate, Kadlimba, Tezekman, it won't let you. Why? Like, because moderators don't have the power? Like, you only like the creator? Like, what the hell, man? If moderators can't change commands, like, what power do you have, dude? Like, what power do you have? You have no power. Put on a tank top and stream 12 hours a day. Well, I was thinking about the tank top. You know, that's definitely a positive. I had more viewers when I used the wife beater, and it's hot. If I turn off the air conditioner and open the window. But my problem isn't streaming Uber Driver. I'm talking about lessons. I'm not trying to make more money from streaming. I'm talking about giving private lessons. You can add or edit them, although I can't even add anymore. It says there are no more slots available. Mind if I ask my rates for lessons, or you prefer a private inquiry? My current rate for lessons is $45 per hour, but it is negotiable. I'm open to, negotiating based on how many lessons, how much time, other factors. So I have it on the lichess coaches page, currently at $45 an hour, and that's pre-inflation. I moved to Hungary to save you guys money. I can offer lessons much cheaper than an American I am. Anyways, all right. Mr. Coffee says, I can add or edit them, although I can't even add anymore. I don't know about Mr. Coffee's grammar. I think you need grammar lessons with Mr. Move 11. Grammar's not a strong point. It says there are no more slots available. So it's about slots. I can add or you can add or edit them. What do you mean you can add? You can't add them. So he's like modifying his own statement. Can't even add or edit them. Can't even add anymore. There are no slots available. But I mean, what we need to do is like delete some of the ones that we have. The problem is like you can't delete them, right? Like why can't you delete the ones we have? You don't have the power to delete? That's weird. That's like to protect streamers from abusive mods or something. That's weird, man. I'll have to get on it. Alright, thanks Mr. Coffee for trying. This is Tezek, man. Okay, my favorite, Queen B6. That's funny, I've only ever had this on lichess with white once. It's really weird. Obviously I have a lot of games with black. I used to play black quite a bit with the Queen B6. I'll have to go rogue. Yeah, in case mods go rogue. Remember Steven, whatever his name was, when he started insulting the viewers? Steven Betancourt, or whatever his name is. The FIDE master. He went rogue and started just insulting all my viewers and stuff. Alright, we're white here. That might have been before your time, Mr. Coffee. What was his name? I don't know, he's a weird guy. He would come to my stream sometimes and he was like kind of friendly, but then when I like had to make him a mod temporarily, he like got out of control. Not Betancourt, I can't remember his name. Steven something. Good blitz player. Justice Bot. Yeah, Justice Bot. Yeah. He was more than Justice Bot. Yeah. He was like out of control bot. Alright. Yeah, I think he's a little on the crazy side. Okay, this is a problem now. Black's not supposed to play d6 in this position. Chom Ishvan passed away last year. Know both of these guys, of course. So black's supposed to play e6. Or, alternatively, you can play knight to f6. But the most accurate move order is supposed to be e6. And black played d6. So now, we could get a transposition to a move 11 burger. Move 11 doesn't really watch the stream. He just submits games and then lets AI like watch the stream for him or something. Whenever I like want to ask him a question, he's not here. You go bishop d3. Oh god. No, we're not going to go bishop d3 again. Not bishop d3 again. That's been the whole theme. You gotta ask yourself, what would Vasily Ivanchuk do? Or Michael Adams? What a coincidence Vasily Ivanchuk and Michael Adams didn't play bishop d3. Uber driver. Or possibly, you know, it was a different move order. But I'd like to believe that. I would like to believe that, you know, notice that Tibor didn't play it either, but he played knight c3. I mean, dude, Tibor's a good attacking player. Maybe he doesn't like playing the Marazzi. No big boys are going to play bishop d3 in this position. It's not the Khan Sicilian, bro. Alright. You can play bishop d3. Yeah, okay, it's not that bad. But I think black's move order is inaccurate. So, you know, if you take in consideration, first of all, the fact that you can play c4, I think that's the best move. Secondly, since the inaccurate d6 is played, because bishop b4 is not a threat, you know, you don't have to play bishop d3, bro. You know, the whole point is you can play knight c3 and keep your options open. This bishop can go anywhere. Why limit it to going to d3? No, I don't think bishop d3 is a good move. It's not a bad move, but it's not necessary. Now Tezikman played bishop e3. I think this move is okay. And it's probably better, you know, it's better than if black had played e6, because the bishop b4 is going to come in later. Bishop e3 is okay. Black retreats now. That's the best move he's got. I think queen c7, I don't know. I mean, queen c7 is likely to be attacked by knight later, so it's not clear that's an improvement on queen d8. Eric the Red. Knight f6. Okay, now everything's under control. It's basically an English attack where black lost the tempo and white brought the knight back to b3. Knight to g4 may or may not be a threat in this position. I really don't think it's a big deal. Like, even if it was black's turn and he played that, it's probably not the end of the world. This is an interesting suggestion, which wasn't played in this game, or in this position previously. But against the queen b6 in particular, queen e2 can sometimes be a good idea. You know, you leave the bishop with retreat back to d2. Notice that some players have played queen d2 here. Maybe not an issue right away, because white can play like bishop g5 or whatever. But queen e2 is interesting to keep the d file open for the rook. I mean, queen e2 is a known idea in the queen b6 Sicilians anyway. But I mean, f3 you've got to say is like, okay, this is a standard move. Looks like a Boleslavsky, except white does not play bishop e2. And he's played f3 instead, with that knight on b3. There's no Marazzi, no forward plan with f4, just g4. You've got to watch for a5, a4 as a concept for black. But he plays g6. Libo played g6, Chinese player I played. Yeah, I don't know. White's a little better. But instead e5, yeah, I mean, this feels more like a Boleslavsky. I feel like e5 is a principled move. It's also very similar to a classical Sicilian. But the queen is, I mean, what is black? How is black like a tempo? What is black a tempo down here? If this were like a normal classical Sicilian, knight f6, knight c3, d6, bishop e3, e5, knight b3. So basically white has an extra move. White has f3 for free. It's a clear extra tempo in an e5, bishop e3, e5, classical Sicilian. So I guess that's good for white. And now he totally goes crazy with knight h5. This is terrible. I mean, it doesn't even threaten anything. You don't even have a threat of queen h4 check. And he's abandoning control of d5. Horrible for black. But, you know, I mean, I would think that you would castle queenside here. Because the pressure against d6 is incredible. I'm not really certain about bishop c4. I mean, it's probably not a terrible move. Alright, I'm going to have to time you out with the g4 suggestion. You're going to have to get timed out for that. Even g4 is good. I would honestly say black is desperate enough to very seriously consider, this might even be white's best move, actually. Uber driver, get lucky once in a while. It's very much possible that black has to sacrifice a pawn with like knight f4, pawn takes, queen takes f4, and like, you know, hope that his dark square bishop would provide some sort of compensation with like bishop e7. Wow. Black is better according to Stockfish. I don't know, Uber driver, what happened to castling, man? Whatever happened to castling? I thought you were big on castling. Bishop c4. Eric the Red, bishop c4, why? Well, I mean, I think why is pretty obvious. f7, control of the d5 square. But white apparently like wants to castle kingside. I mean, I don't think that like bishop c4 is a terrible move. I think it's an okay move. If a6, you can hold up the queen side with a4. It's actually like pretty similar to some like bishop e3 lines of the knight, or with e5. It's not terrible for black or white. So knight h5 is horrible. This one's okay. This is bad. Bishop f2. And then queen f6, which is like suicide. And the question is, which crushing move did you play now? He doesn't have the, it looks like Tezek doesn't really have like the killer instinct. He's too nice. Knight d5 is tempting, but after queen d8, like how do we follow up? Yes, you can play g4, but I mean, what about knight b5? I'm just curious, like, what does black do about this? I mean, you're threatening knight c7 check, and he almost has to play queen d8, and then the point is you just triple up on d6, and I think it's over. Like you're saying, you could even rook on a to d1, like Hamza said. White doesn't even have to castle. If you don't want to, you could just play rook a d1, and d6 just falls. So I think it's like a winning position for white. But this move was played, and the problem, is there a problem, officer? There's no problem here. We're just passing through on our way to Minneapolis. No problem with castle's queen side. Poor Mr. Coffee's gonna lose his mind. The learn command was successfully edited. Are you serious? You're actually learning while making new commands. Mr. Coffee, exclaim Mr. Coffee learn. This is a good move. A6 doesn't help us, right? Because we get knight d5 anyway, and then it's over because of bishop b6. Too many weaknesses. Exclam learn. You have to type exclamation point learn. Well, Mr. Coffee's learning from AI. I don't know if the AI is learning from him. Castle queenside knight f4. Okay, that's a defense. I don't think it's gonna last though. Now knight b5. Yeah, that's a killer. I mean, the only detail is this pawn on g2. But we can simply I was going to suggest we simply play g3. A little patience goes a long way. After g3, knight h3, bishop e3. I think this is actually even better. Black's toast, man. He's a noob. See, this is the problem. Now, does black have an attempt to play knight takes g2? Your only issue here, I don't know if Tezek is here, is rook g1, right? We have a problem with the g7 pawn. And then you're going to be like, glad you have a bishop on c4, right? There's no knight h4. It's hanging. Black has to play bishop h3. And then bishop here. And then knight f4. And it looks like black's like hanging on. That's really irritating. I don't think white wins the pawn, go for the king. Well, I'm telling you, I think like g3 is game over. But go for the king isn't like that easy in an e5 Najdorf. It's not like an English attack. I think this is just over, dude. Like g3 is game over. But after this, unfortunately, we have to trade queens and drop our g-pawn. Yeah, it looks like knight takes g2 hangs on. But okay, apparently there's something. Wow. I'm really surprised how big white's advantage is. Is it like illegal to castle or something? Apparently white's like totally winning, even though he's, well, he is up a pawn. No, it's not even a pawn up. Wow. It's surprising how dominant white is here. Yeah. Just winning positionally, even with no material advantage. Knight d7, like bishop d7, rook d7, rook on the 7th, 2 bishops. Easy for stockfish anyway. But I wouldn't even give black the satisfaction of taking that pawn on g2 and break. See, the thing that bothers me about it isn't even like that we're losing a pawn back. It's like wrecking our pawn structure. So I'd rather just play g3. Okay, castle, 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 g3, knight h3, bishop e3. So you basically got the position I wanted, Tezek. You transposed the position I was aiming for you here. Or he let you transpose. This is exactly right. White is everything now. A pawn up, safe king, 2 bishops, knight saddled on the side of the board, and now f4 actually cuts that knight off. But is this necessary? It looks like the kind of move that Uber driver would suggest. Is this a problem? Could someone try the learn command? I want to make sure it works for everyone. Not everyone's going to try it. It's going to overload. Learn chess. Command unknown. Command unknown. So he does play bishop g4. But white played a really nice positional game here. I would be patient. You can never be too patient, right? I guess you can be too patient. Beep, 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 beep. Is this, is it really necessary to weaken this square here on e5? You're kind of playing life a little dangerous here, letting these pieces get all trippy in your side of the board, but I think you still got it under control. Living dangerously. That's Uber Driver's favorite bishop square, and hey, it's Miro. I mean, it feels like beginning with that 4 white played a little loosely, giving black a bit of counterplay. Now you have this. Oh my god. Bam. And now it takes your wonderful dark square bishop. So you give up your bishop pair, but you still have like a crushing space advantage and an extra pawn. It's not bad. I mean, white's threatening rook g3, rook g6, and then like crush through on g7. Or crash if you prefer. Ooh, it looks too perfect. This is too perfect. It's so perfect, it's sus. A really nice game. Man, f6 is brutal. I mean, I'm thinking about this, but I mean, there black could at least play. Yeah, I mean, it's all good. I think this is even more crushing, though. Because it prevents king h8. King h8 is not unlearning. Interested in unlearning. I can give you a lot of recommendations. A lot of YouTubers you can watch if you want to unlearn chess. Rook takes g6 check, king h8 here. Now what's up with that move? Pinning the knight. What's up with that move? You have to. Or, yeah, because of rook g7, knight takes f6, so this is basically forced. Really accurate game. Takes, and now knight f5. Black's gonna get mated somehow. Now all we need is like bishop e4. Oh man, this is too perfect. He loses a pawn back. Wow, but the advantage is massive. There goes another pawn. I would be strongly tempted to go for the b7 pawn. But I think either way is good. Is the brick sponsored by Coach? I don't know what that means. Is that a code? Are you asking in code? King g7. Yeah, it went on forever. You should play some bullet chess while you're waiting. I mean, it's an easy win. It was pretty much relentless play by white. I don't really like letting our pawn structure get damaged here. But we have too much. Bam. 8 million pawns. Fizake was very patient. So this was a correspondence game, probably. Alright, that's it. Rupunj is last. Oh, he is last already. Well, he's next to last, technically. But I'm going to move him to last. He's sleeping anyway. Okay, Asterbait is next. Asterbait you won a game with the B3 system. I moved you to last. You're not in a hurry. You're going to go have a nap anyway. Just wait until move 11 shows up and makes a donation. Then I'll have to move you to last. B3, E5. Thirsty monster. Made me thirsty. Uber driver, can you follow a can you give us a reference like post 1972? Do you have any references post 1972? A6. This is do you have any references for, since I've been alive for us? A6 I played myself. It prevents, obviously, bishop b5. But, I mean, with the black pieces, it does feel a bit slow. But Asterbate has shown a major predilection for playing c4. And it's basically transposing to an English. I mean, Asterbate might as well just play the English. Knight f3 is a bit more on the combative side. But, I mean, it's kind of like an Alyakin's defense. I mean, black does get to play, like, e4. So I'm not going to, like, force you to play that. Oh, God. Uber Driver said you might play a3 first. Yeah, we've had this conversation before. It's not even an open Sicilian, man. There's definitely no need to play a3 until, we have like d5, c takes d5 on the board. And then you're safe playing the Chom system. So if c4, knight f6, yes, bishop e2, d5, pawn takes d5, something takes d5, a3 is a good move, Uber Driver. Uber Driver and Asterbate are both, well aware of the, we're well aware of the weakness of these squares in Sicilian. But I think a3 this early would probably be suboptimal. That's why I like playing it on move 1. Alright, so c4. And then the guy just goes d5 straight up. Okay, so now we gotta take. And he's gotta take, unless he wants to be real funky and play knight b4. And then Uber Driver will be totally justified. If this works, then I'm gonna have to like look stupid. Talking about fishing poles. It's no good. Just play a3 and then glom. We're just up a pawn. No, there's nothing funny like that. Black has to take with the queen. And it looks like Brian Anderson. We have only correspondence games. Swindon, the home of Amazing Frog. I wonder if Nefedov's ever played in Swindon. You see a lot of Frog. Anybody else play Amazing Frog? It's a funny game. Maybe I'll start streaming some Amazing Frog, but it's really not been updated much lately. Okay. Back to chess. So a3 now is a legitimate idea, but there's that bishop. Is it threatening it? Are they threatening knight b4? Are you threatening me? I love how sometimes people play stuff like this, the Larry Tapper attack. Lasker once played queen f3. If a3, bishop e6, and then b4, I guess. So it's funny, no one played, no one felt it necessary to play a3 here in these correspondence games. But I do want to emphasize that this move has the disadvantage of blocking your bishop, so one of the biggest issues in the Sicilian, I think, and other openings like the Queen's Indian. Maybe knight f3 is a bit more spirited. Then you see there's games with bishop f5. Now we're seriously worried about the d3 square. But on the other hand, you can play bishop c4. And on the other hand, black going e6 would waste the tempo, so a3 is justified. Alright, that's probably one good variation. Another one is what Asterbate played, knight c3, queen e6. Black can also go to d6. That's what the correspondence guys did. It's not clear which move is better for black. He's got to block one bishop or the other, or else go back like Uber Driver with queen d8. Uber Driver would have played queen d8. Queen e6, bishop c4. See, I don't know if this is a good idea or not. When black plays queen back, I mean, this sliding over is a huge idea here. And it's like a Lowenthal sort of theme, where you have, you know, very obvious connection with the white squares and all this stuff. So when Asterbate plays like bishop c4 here, I think, you know, you need to anticipate this move. I mean, maybe it's no big deal, but you have to have something ready. So like, how are you going to defend your g2 pawn? Maybe you have the threat of bishop d5. For example, queen g6. If a3, queen takes here, bishop here. I mean, I don't know, this is also a nice theme that I've seen recently somewhere. Maybe it's not that clear. Yeah, you can play knight f3 and sack a pawn. But I was worried about that as well. Probably nothing. If knight b4, just rook c1. This pawn is hanging. I am a little concerned about this though. It's sharp. This could get sharp. But keep in mind, like queen h3, kablam. Now this is a very important idea. I mean, there is this though. I imagine this is good for white. So anyway, queen g6, queen f3. Tempting move, and probably, you know, it might not be bad. I'm going to start recommending like Asterbate play the b3 Sicilian with white. And then bishop g4, because he can. Yeah, this is like depth 1 level game theory. You're thinking 1 level deep when you play bishop g4. What cards do I have? Not like what cards does the opponent have. This is level 1. All you care about is your cards. You've got aces and you're all in. It doesn't matter how many cards are on the table, you're just going to play that move. I mean, this is a very bad move. Bishop takes f7, blowing him apart. Queen is overloaded, simple tactic. Queen takes f7, queen takes g4, and black is lost. Very nice. But objectively, queen f3 has a kind of artificial feeling to it. While I don't think it's a bad move, I wonder if your fears couldn't be realized by something like knight to b4. Don't talk about that kind of stuff. It brings back bad memories. There was this guy I lost some money to a while back where we were like flipping for $250 blind. That was a stupid thing to do unless you're independently wealthy and you're sure the game isn't rigged. Bishop takes a7 check. Queen takes a7. Queen takes g4. Alright, what about knight b4? You just got rook c1, right? It's over. Isn't it? I mean, I imagine black can play a sensible move like this. Defend the f7. Yeah, it's unclear. So Asterbate, Queen F3 was bad. But surprisingly, Black had better than Knight B4. I'm actually pretty surprised. Asterbate's favorite move, Bishop D3, is actually apparently reasonable here. I agree with Uber Driver though. No, not in that position. I think you should play Knight F3 first. Knights before bishops. This is clearly like White's most fundamental move. You got a little tempted with Bishop C4 early. I think here Black has enough counterplay. Queen F3, and you got lucky with Bishop G4. Interestingly, even H5 is sound for Black. Wow. That's hard to believe. But you're just winning now. Queen F5 looks a bit much. But I think Asterbate wanted to get back here and guard the weak squares. Maybe it's good. Although you could also try something more adventurous. Black has Knight B4 again. So I don't blame you for Queen F5. Wow, it's the bishop again. Look at that. Octopus. Very nice position. And pop back into position. Very nice. You're going to have to do H4 now. He does it. He does it. He's going fishing. The full fishing pole. And then on Knight G4, Asterbate could have just played F3. It's very difficult to suggest a move here. But instead, you played maybe the craziest move ever, B4. Wow. You know, you're not actually threatening anything with B4. Because, like, even this check, he just plays King H8 and F7 is guarded twice. Asterbate's basically just playing for cheapos, and he's hanging his F2 pawn. Oh my god. This is terrible. You should have just played F3. But he watches Ben Feingold. Oh my god. And now... Asterbate, what are you doing? Yep. And Black getting short of gas here. But he has Knight G4. How do you deal with Knight G4, friend? Bro. Oh my god. You just lost. Wow. I have to say, man, I don't think after you play H4, the plan is to castle kingside. At this point, you can castle either side. One of the most beautiful thing about the Sicilian is the ability to castle on either side. He plays Knight G4, you play F3. You were afraid because of Ben Feingold or something not to play F3. That's a very stupid reason, but the point is you're going to castle queenside, which is a major weapon here. In any kind of hypermodern opening, like the Larson attack or the Sicilian or the English, the point is you can castle on either side, depending. But after this, you know, you gave him this for this cheapo, you check King H8, and now I guess you had nothing better than, yeah, something like Knight F3. I mean, White has to be really careful now. Because obviously, like, Rook F1, Queen takes H4 is hugely problematic. We can't just drop a rook. Our rook is hanging. I mean, this is awkward. Look at that bishop. Can you believe it? The worst bishop in the world is going to win the game? Wow. So basically Asterbate like almost had the castle. And now queen takes h4, and someone suggested an h3. Yeah, but this is a draw at best, and probably white is losing. It's like check, king h1, check, king g1, and now this bishop is gonna mate us. In most cases, I would assume. Check, here, and e4. And that's fatal. Of all things, you know. Your king just never belonged over there once you played h4. But the question is there a way out here for white after queen takes h4? He's starting mate in 1. Maybe you can play rook takes f2. It doesn't look great though. You meant black playing h3. Okay, well, whatever. It looks like white's in trouble, man. Well, white's lost here. There's no defense. So nice lost position you got there. It's just that he played e4, hanging his knight, and Asterbate got away. Asterbate's like the one that got away. Check. And actually, in fact, yeah, there's no queen h5 check. Very lucky escape there. He only chose this game because of this beautiful mate at the end with bishop takes g7. You were completely busted, bro. Tezek, you missed your game. Alright. Nefedov is up next. Did you guys see Nefedov? Has anyone seen Nefedov? We're up to 174 for the World Senior Fund. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Uncle Charlie, for following. Anyone interested in lessons can use the learn command. Exclamation learn. Sorry to hear your wife is sick. I thought you were recovering. No problem. Watch the VOD. I hope that your wife gets better very quickly. So Nefedov playing white in Alyakin's defense. This is from a recent team game. Let me see if I got more info from Nefedov. Yesterday's over the board game. Simon Cup final to analyze. That sounds like actually a tournament. Oh, it's actually a tournament. But I don't understand. Simon Cup 4th round. Maybe it is a team game. Simon Cup final. 75 minutes each. Okay, he's playing white against Stephen Watmore. Nefedov playing white. What more can you ask for? Unbelievable. Nefedov versus Watmore. There's got to be some good combinations with that name. Watmore versus... Alright. The deadly f4. Now, if I was Nefedov, in this day and age, I would be a little bit careful about being too predictable here. You play in a league, and Nefedov's opening repertoire is extremely predictable. And it's good, you know, but at the same time, he's going to have to be careful that people are like heavy duty preparing for him. If you only play the 4 pawns attack against Alyakin, you know, and everybody plays Alyakin against you, I would start to get a little paranoid. But I like the 4 pawns attack. Okay, f4, pawn takes pawn, f takes, and now knight c6. Bishop e3, correct. Move order. Oh, by the way, like I've been recommending the sideline with g6 to myself and others. One player among my students. Of course, not many people I work with play Alyakin's defense, so But when I rarely get the chance to work with someone who's playing this, I think Ripunj submitted a game. I suggested g6 as an alternative. I mean, Uber driver, seriously? You could go hang out with Yefim Traeger at the Marshall Chess Club and have a seance where you channel Emery Tate. Why not play Queen f3? Uber driver, you're very conflicted. You know, you got all this like classical stuff going on, and then you're like randomly throwing out the a4 against the Alekhine. You need to be more systematic. You know, either you're a classicist or you like a freak who plays like weird systems. But you're kind of like, you're all over the place. You can't make up your mind what you want to be. Okay, bishop e3, bishop f5, and now knight c3 is correct. Nefedov knows what he's doing here. I've lost some gains to him. Is it too late in the game for king e2? It's too early. It's too early. It's never too late. E6 main line, knight f3, and then Nefedov had submitted another game. Yeah. Okay, bishop e2 first. I don't think it's necessary. Nefedov knows what he's doing. I think the problem is that, like, you know, knight f3 or bishop e2 first is like under the presumption that knight f3 bishop g4 is a good line for black, but it's not, you know, objectively. So you see, like, knight f3 bishop g4. Hikaru has played this. It's just I don't think it's a good variation. You know, that's the problem. It's like a changing evaluations. They used to think maybe bishop g4 is good, but it's actually not so good. So in reality, Nefedov's move order is fine. It's not clear if black has adequate move here. Dude, you're still in the 18th century. This is 2023, and we're trying to figure out, you know, what the best move is. U.S. Championship last year, Robeson crushed whatever, the bullet guy with bishop e7. I mean, Robeson was white. And Robeson might have used the bishop e2 move order, I don't remember. But, you know, this is more experimental. And I know, like, Ripunj had played this, yeah. Knight a5 for black. Well, that's even, that's like too much. Knight a5 for black. Yeah. Okay, bishop e4. Yeah, knight a5 is part of this, right? Now we're going to see. Bishop e2. And now black voluntarily takes on c3. What did you play? You did knight a5 after knight a5. Okay, that's a good move order. I also play knight a5 after knight a5. Sometimes I'll even play like knight a5 after knight a5 after knight a5. Then I realized I had like 3 shots of vodka in a very short span of time, and I'm just like on the verge of blacking out. But no, seriously, just kidding you. Yeah, I know, you played bishop takes c3. So knight a5 is a legit move here. Yeah, this is like what you did. This is kind of cutting edge, like best chance. But you said you had studied a course with, what's his name? Bortnik. They call him a Bortnik. Because he leaves all the games. No, I'm just kidding. Alright. Knight a5. I had this roommate. He was terrible. He would always make fun of everyone's names, and he had to make up nicknames for everyone. Bortnik has to be a Bortnik. Yeah, this is horrible though. I mean, with knight a5, you can hope to like induce white to weaken his position somehow with c5. But if we're playing just bishop takes c3 right away, I mean, it leaves the... I was talking about this against with Repunj. Leaves the pawns compact. Black's not threatening anything. See, this is a question from my perspective. Nefedov, although he knows a lot, I think sometimes he doesn't focus, or he's not concentrated. Yeah, I would never voluntarily release the tension. So, Black's not threatening knight takes c4 yet because of take queen a4 check. So Nefedov doesn't need to play c5 yet. And the question is, can he do something else? And maybe not. Maybe the answer is not, but clearly White doesn't have that many options, but the extreme knight d2, I think normally like this would never be available. I mean, queen h4 check, bishop f2, queen g5 or something. Maybe, but I mean, I'm not convinced here. This is all that good for Black. Just a suggestion, you know. Another suggestion is simply castles. Obviously, this is the most fundamental move. But like Repunj was hinging a lot of counterplay on c5. I think this is our main idea from Black's perspective. And maybe it's good, you know, maybe it's good. Spassky would probably like take... I'm just kidding. I don't know. I don't want to break up my pawns. So c5. And I actually... I think this looks right. Wow, we actually transposed some games. So there's a game from Argentina, or I don't know, it looks like. I mean, don't we want to play b5 and Blokadovich, the c4 square here? Before it's like too late? Are we getting like blown away by en passant? En passant looks problematic, like pawn takes pawn, c4. I don't like the look of this. Although even here Black might not be dead. So the game where Pichot versus Balerga, 2015, that's like 9 years ago, knight c6 played. It strikes me as a slightly weird move. But, I mean, obviously, like, White is threatening to win a piece with c4. So your options are limited. But can we play b5 or b6? The engine says knight c6 is best. b6 is playable. But what about b5? Oh my god, it's just hanging. Sorry. So I'm suggesting this move that just doesn't work. Okay. Do I play like 2500? Well, I don't know, Nefedov. My first instinct, without using the computer, is that fundamentally, he plays unprovoked, you know, exchange, and knight a5. You don't have to play c5, so I don't know if you play like 2500 or not, you know? I mean, here, theoretically, he's threatening c5, but I don't know if it's good or not. You know, that's the question. You could keep the tension with something like knight d2. You could try something crazy like d5. Is this working? No, not really. The engine like castles. The engine like castles. My problem is c5. You're in like virgin territory here. There are no games from this position in over the board play. But I'm sus of your opponent, you know. The question is c5. So apparently d5 is strong now. Wow. Oh, is this a problem? It's not pawn takes c5. Bishop takes c5 is a serious issue for black. So Nefedov, the jury is out, you know. I don't know, you know. Is it the best move? It's not clear. You transpose back to some kind of theory with knight c6. And now queen b3. Nefedov's already seen the game in the opening Explorer. The young Pichot. White's definitely better here. But Ripun showed us how much, you know, black really does have some counterplay in these type of lines. Rook b8 is forced. I mean, queen c8 looks ugly, so I'm going to say rook b8 is forced. And then Nefedov played bishop b5. Preventing the epic break. But the Grandmaster played castles here. So, who's right, Nefedov or the Argentinian Grandmaster? Everything fundamentally tells me that white is clearly better here. But I definitely want to castle before I begin active operations. Nefi just played bishop b5. It feels wrong. You know, this move feels wrong. It's like, okay, it's a concrete concept. You're trying to prevent him breaking. But at the same time, it feels like you're decentralizing your bishop and sort of wasting time. Despite that fact, it might be quite strong. So he castles, get the hell out of there. And now he still can't break because his knight's hanging. Now you castled. Now he plays knight a5. I was expecting maybe he would retreat this back, but then he has to watch for bishop g5. Maybe not a big deal. Bishop b5 is not required even if it's good, yeah. Well, there are many ways that white can play this position, probably, and maintain an advantage. And so here we see another interesting position. Queen a4 necessary to attack the knight. And now, very important moment, b6 or c6. So b6 or c6. And I'm not sure about queen a4 either. White has options. Queen a3, queen d1. Not clear. But I mean, the main point of queen a4 is that it protects your bishop that's loose. So he plays c6, bishop b2, and b5, and I don't have a better suggestion for black. And now another interesting position. So, you know, Nefedov takes, and now c4. Those are nice bishops you've got there. That's a nice space advantage you've got. The center's a little bit precarious, though. What if it was like Nefedov versus Nefedov? Nefedov wouldn't play the Alyakin. Pretend it's Slav. Yeah, I mean, this pawn makes me nervous. I feel like the d4 pawn isn't properly supported, so I like kind of want to go here. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's not necessary. Yeah, definitely bishop e4 is an option because c5 doesn't work in a classical sense. This totally looks strong. Is there a knight takes c4? No. Yeah, bishop b4 looks good, but I mean also this move looks okay. Black is in an unpleasant situation. Now bishop b4 is even stronger. Wow, now I defeat Keto the knight. That's not a happy situation. Fianchetto of knight. But yeah, I mean, what pawn? What pawn? Oh ye, how materialistic thou art. It almost seems a shame to cash in for a mere pawn here. I mean, black is threatening c5. That's the issue. Breaking up white center is the problem. I mean, I like this. This is fine, but I'm just wanting to make sure there's not something better. There doesn't seem to be honest. I mean, it's possible Nefedow's play wasn't optimal earlier, but okay. Takes. So we expect takes and queen takes c6. And now my question is, yeah, white's up a pawn, but he's kind of extended, you know, and this bishop f5 is pretty good, at least momentarily. Okay, the knight on b7 is horrible. But is there any chance that black has sort of any counterplay here? I mean, you know, there are moves, simple moves like this, or just queen b5. It looks like white is up a pawn. But you can never be too careful when all your pawns are moved up, you know? If white makes a mistake at some point, it could be hard to convert with so many pawns pushed. But the guy has this in-between move here, rook a8. But does that work? Don't you have bishop d6? If I miss winning a piece here, because that would be too easy. Bishop d6, knight d6, pawn d6. It would be too easy to win like that. He wants the game to be challenging. He did that against me too. He just sacrificed a piece to make it interesting. Oh no, this also wins a piece. Okay, so it's not clear. Is it? Doesn't he have c5 now? So Nefedov just did it in delayed form. Okay. But I think it was simpler the other way, you know. I'm not messing around. I mean, if I do bishop d6 right away, I'm clearly up a piece, and I'm not going to screw around with any complications. Now it's c5, bishop d6. Okay. Same idea. Oh no, queen takes. Oh my god. I told you not to screw around. Are you? Oh, he has it in the other position. Queen takes d6. But then queen takes a8. Uh-oh. So that's critical. Rook a8, queen b4. Okay, so the other line was better. You know, now I can't play queen takes. I can't play queen takes a8, you know, bailing out. Queen takes c6 avoids losing a piece. The question is evaluation. What the? That's gone. Damn, Nefedov. You have a strong pawn there on d6, but black's picking up a2. So what's happening here? Are you serious? You let this slip? He wants to blockade. Wow. Nefedov swindled. Nice to hold on to that A pawn, if possible. Man, you recovered. So what is like rook A7, the losing move or something? Rook A7, unblockading the back rank. Losing control of D8. Wow. Black's actually winning after F6. This has got to be like question mark. Question mark move, rook A7, D7. Wow, that's really dangerous. And now if rook D8, I guess we could play rook takes F7, right? With the idea of rook E7 and rook E8. It appears to be okay. So after D7, he plays knight B7. Let's just say white let this game get out of control. Now you have this, though, and a slicey diagonal. There it is. That's a beauty. Knight takes F7. Knight D8. Knight D8. Is there another option? You think black has to play bishop D5. D7, bishop D5. Well, that was his original idea. But I don't see how it matters. It looks like take, take, take. I'm not sure, really, driver, that helps. I mean, clearly, you know, the critical moment is here. Rook A7 is not necessary. He keeps D8 protected, and he could have played like F6, and he's probably winning. Or close to winning, anyway. But this is clearly a bad idea. I mean, he should not take his rooks off, guarding the queening square. The D8 is really important for black. This is a huge blunder. Now D7. And, yeah, I mean, it's hard to suggest. But maybe, I don't know, is this a better try? Is it any better try? I mean, there's no way to challenge this knight on C5. It's secure. It's protecting E6. It's keeping pressure on this. If white's best move is rook takes F7, I feel like black's, you know, hanging on here. Wow, he's not. Wow. Apparently it's just over. But I mean, what's our winning move? Like rook here? King F8? So let's say I don't know, H6, rook E7, King F8. Oh my god, he has knight G, no, there's no knight G6. Oh my god. What? What? Oh my god, dude. Rook F1 check? This is insane. Nobody's ever gonna find this like Magnus Carlsen would find it. Holy shit. Look at that. Rook F1 check. It's not even about the rook, man. Is it? It hangs on knight C6? Well, this is the most beautiful variation, though. Rook takes F5, check. Pawn takes F5, knight G6, mate. You know? Wow. But he has king E7. And now this still wouldn't be enough, you know? It's an insane variation. You have to play like rook F7 check, and then take the rook. Oh yeah, you're talking about that rook hangs. Exactly, yeah, here. Wow. Yeah. That's almost impossible to calculate. That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like, I wouldn't have been sure if I was winning if I was Nefedov. I mean, D7 looks good, but it's like, wow. Yeah, it looks like he's hanging on after rook D8. I would have taken, but I wouldn't have been sure I was winning. I would have been unsure. You know, it's equal material. Yes, it's a strong pawn, but at the same time, look at that variation. I mean, after rook takes f7, h6, rook e7, it looks like this is a draw. You know, it's like king f8. Okay, rook f7, king here. Your flag is hanging and it's your turn. You know, white to make progress. The only way to make progress is apparently rook e7, king f8, rook e8. And if you don't find that, you're not winning. That's an absolutely amazing position. So Nefedov's game went d7, knight b7, and clearly knight b7 is worse because of this diagonal. Like, that's not to take away from Nefedov's game, but I mean, it's pretty obvious. Knight takes f7 is pretty obvious now. Knight takes f7, even in time pressure, he's not going to miss that. So takes here, takes, and now white's better. I mean, it's a pawn up, but it's not just any pawn. I mean, it's just like crusher on d7, and he secured the a pawn. And the black king is like stuck on h8. So this has to be winning for white. Zugzwang. Lichenzug, yeah. Oh my god. Fancy. That's fancy. Beautiful fancy move from Nefedov. Rook f8. Showering the board with gold coins. And now we're just winning. You better be winning. And a pawn. That was an exciting game. And now Nefedov offered a draw. There had to be a mate there. Come on. How is there no mate here? Oh my gosh. How is there no mate here? Wow. Bishop f5, g6. Nefedov's flag's hanging. His flag's hanging and his fly's down. Bless you. But he did get a mate eventually. Ooh. Very nice. Yeah, that's one of my favorite Nefedov games of all time. Hey, where's Miro? Oh no, he changed, yeah, we changed it to a 3-0 game. Or I guess he only plays 3-0. You had 6 seconds left on the clock in the final position. That was fun, man. That was fun. Great game. I want to see Nefedov battle Ripunj in the tournament. In next week's arena. Okay, we've got Sui official playing white against Hayes Miro. Miro BBW. D4, knight f6. Ah, yes. He had to put a London system in there. We love crushing the London system here. It's better than it looks. Dude, you know what? You spend too much time watching crappy chess streams. Not this one. It's nice at least you watch one quality chess stream. Uber driver. Nefedov, you're sort of a champion. Just play h5 on move 1, alright? c5, e3, and now, speaking of inventions, what I like is really being, fundamentally sound. This is a classic developing move. So it's been played by a surprising number of strong players. And those games go back as far as a random game in 2000. No. Jean-Luc Charbonnion played it in 2010 against Eric Priet. Priet beat him. Priet always plays a lot of London system stuff, and the Priet attack, of course. Yeah, I mean, despite all these people playing this just because it's fun, I'm skeptical. I know it's a 3-0 game. I don't believe in this. This is sort of This is cheap chess we're playing now with knight to d5. On the other hand, I don't like the London, so this feels fundamentally wrong. Okay, so whatever, it is what it is. Now bishop g8, bishop e8 is garbage. You have to play bishop g3. I mean, I suppose, like, if you really want to, you could play Jababa style. Jababa. With knight c3. Jababa novelty. Jababity. It's kind of Jababity, like here, here. This may not be that bad for white. Pawn takes pawn, queen takes, tempo, queen goes somewhere, you know, unclear what the best square is. I mean, I suppose this isn't that bad for white as an alternative, if you really want to be creative. There's also queen a5 getting like super funky, but that looks sus too. I think you gotta take the bishop here. Yeah, computer evaluation is 0.5 better for black. I mean, clearly you're like justifying it. Well, apparently this is a move. Knight queen b6 is interesting. If you really want to be up on the Sladgie variation of the Jababa defense. All right, bishop g3, and now queen b6. So clearly, Mr. Miro has been working on this line. But I'm seeing knight c3. I'm seeing dead people. I'm seeing knight c3. I'm having nightmares about knight c3 again. So you make one like weird move and then another one to back it up. Let's double down on the weird moves. We played knight d5 unprincipled, and now we're going to play queen b6. But I have another question. I guess the question is, like, what else can black do? You know, I mean, like, someone played c takes d, Jonathan Karstedt, okay? It's like a German I am. What's the plan? C takes d, e takes d, and then he played queen b6. Improvisation. My impression would be nothing special. This is nothing special for black. Now the question is, does this matter? So my anticipation was that this would be the move. Interestingly, Prié won in 2010 and then lost another game in 2011. Knight c3, b takes c. Aha. So there's a very concrete idea here where black attacks this pawn. The bishop is sort of sitting like a dummy on g3. Queen a5. Or e6. Korobov played e6. Korobov, who sadly didn't win the European Championship this year, but he came very close, had a really good run. And the best hair of the tournament. But, oh, king d2. Nobody would be crazy enough to play that. I think you need to get some sleep. You need to get some sleep and stop playing bullet chess, Uber Driver. But, like, seriously, this is interesting. Some people have played c4. What's up with that move? Does it make sense to fianchetto black kingside bishop here? Yes. I could also say that it always makes sense to fianchetto black kingside bishop. There's one thing you want to watch out for is like this bishop coming to e5, perhaps in some positions. But of course, like a kingside fianchetto would be like pretty good if it worked. It would be something I would consider. But I think with that bishop getting to e5 sometimes. No, so if you take this position here, like if you play g6 right away, I think among other things, bishop e5 is a pretty annoying move. You know? I don't really want to play f6, so my options would be kind of unpleasant. You know, rook g8, f6, or knight f6. Yeah. The idea of playing the fianchetto is good. I don't advocate this knight to d5, but it's interesting to analyze it. So c4 is interesting. And now several people have played queen takes b2. C takes d5, queen takes rook, queen c2. And black won a game with e6, knight f3, e takes d5, b5. That's such an engine move. Is this correspondence? Holy shit. Yeah, apparently this is like it has to be a correspondence game. Wow. So this thing is like, it's very materialistic approach by black. So knight f6 is better. And obviously that's why we played knight d5, so we can bring our knight back to f6. There's a real game here. Saurav Biswas versus Kislinski from 2021. An Indian 2270, that's pretty scary. Because like when they're 1400, they're very, very dangerous. Knight c3. This guy just, yeah, I think black is an IM. Queen takes b2, knight on gd8, compensation. Yeah, I wouldn't play this, man. I don't like this for black. Alright. But I guess having said A, you have to say B here with queen b6. This is a kind of not a great move, b3. Weakening white's position. This doesn't contribute anything to white's position. b3 is kind of weak, I would say. Surprising that Lei Kwang was able to win, and Christian Bauer was able to win after this sort of lame b3. But I guess it's safe. This capture is definitely right with the pawn. Notice that both strong players both were captured with the pawn. Queen takes is stupid. You know, now again, like, you could do g6. This is mildly annoying. I think more importantly, we're worried about our knight on d5. But I guess g6 is... Wow, there's some games here. Yeah. I mean, this is like weird for black. Pretty tricky and dangerous. So maybe g6. What about bishop e5? Black just plays knight f6 here, and then you gain the time back. It's not a problem. Okay, so g6 is good. This is okay, but a little bit more passive. I agree with the g6 if you can play it. Now I really want to sacrifice a piece here, but it doesn't work. So we don't know like what we've got with knight d5 in the long run. You could play f5, but I think that's kind of dubious strategically. Kirill Georgiev game from 2018, that's a good sign. So you just played like Kirill Georgiev, bishop c4, and that's a new move. So 2100 lost against Georgiev. Not a surprise. Someone played knight f3 here. And now this is a new move by white with bishop c4. I mean, do you really want to hurt me? Do you really want... I already sang one song today. You know I've got to root for Mark Zuckerberg. I'm not a huge fan of Mark Zuckerberg, but I'd say like we beat the walrus. Just like don't let him sit on you and attack from a distance. I'm thinking like Elon Musk is like 2 years older and slightly fatter than me. He's definitely in bed. He doesn't have a chance, man. He's going to get destroyed by Zuckerberg. But I don't think it's really going to happen, Sladgie. I think it's just promo bullshit. You know, it'll never happen. But no, none of that today. Bishop c4, knight f6. Yeah, that's a good move. Here, here. And all that to get like a standard position. I'm really super disappointed by the last two moves of this game. I wonder, you know, if black has a better way to play that's a little more active here. And we're so close to some sort of tactic. Look at that, g2's not defended. Nothing. It's not going to work. It just feels too close for there not to be some sort of tactic here. Knight f6 costs a lot of time though. I was looking at this. You have a threat of b5. You jump out of your chair when your opponent plays that move. I know I would. Knight f3 and then b5. And now on knight e5 you have queen b7 with some ideas of like b4, but maybe it's better to play d6. And then you can like lose your queen to Sladgie. Sladgie's favorite theme. Sladgie, you need to play a4 here. a6, a4 with the idea of bishop b5. Then Hey It's Miro will play like something stupid. Like, I don't know. What can we do here that's really dumb? h6. Or you can be like Uber Driver and play h5, and then Sladgie gets you with bishop b5. You suddenly realize to your horror that you're losing. But are you? You know, pawn takes pawn, rook takes a1, pawn takes queen, knight takes c3. No, I don't know. I'm just messing around, guys. Alright, we're getting a little silly. Knight f6 is kind of slow, though. Alright, and then we just end up with like an ordinary position. So all that fanciness achieved very little. Black just gets what I would classify as like a totally standard-ish type of exchange Caro-Kann. Nothing special. White has really good control of e5. But this is a nice try. I would say at least he played knight e4. I think this is smart. You start playing routine chess here, you're in trouble. Then white did the unthinkable. Took. Wait a minute. No, I mean bishop d7 is a move. I don't think it's great though, you know. Uber Driver. Nothing special. I mean, if I play c4, let's say castles. If I play, when are they going to do this and just let him play c4 with tempo? I mean, I'm not really down with that. I don't know, man. Yeah, but I mean, you're going to give him the really scary center. This center for white looks really dangerous, to be honest. Gonna have to watch out for getting blasted with d5 or something. I mean, I'm certain that white is better here. +1. It's +1. You're just too far behind in development to be farting around with like bishop b5. If anything, like maybe we can play knight c6 and just like keep pressure on d4. Let's say bishop d7, castles, knight c6, and we'll just try to keep pressure, but this queen b6 keeps pressure on d4. But I don't think that, you know, you can do bishop b5. Alright, here, bad move, takes, and where's my white square bishop? Where did you put my white square bishop? I mean, maybe it's valid. White played this. Obviously f6 is not a good idea, or is it? f6. No. But I think that, it's nice having an unopposed bishop. And white's raging attack on the diagonal is kind of canceled, isn't it? What happened to this what happened to white's Stonewall attack? It's kind of hard to do that, checkmating attack with no light square bishop. Bishop takes e4 was definitely positionally questionable. White has to be patient. Typical London system. Okay, this is a 3-0 game, so it was pretty good for a 3-0 game. Castle, castle, and then this is definitely unnecessary, but maybe okay. Clearly, there's this square. Yeah, white can't play bishop takes e4. It's not great. But f5 isn't by any means forced for black here. You can play f6, knight c4, queen c6. Looking at this diagonal again. And white's position is pretty artificial. So you can be more patient here. You're leaving him with a strong knight on e5 and strong control of e5 with f5. And now this is yeah, that's not a good way to stop f4. I mean, if it were me, I would probably play f4. I'll take my chances with that, man. I'm studying Marshall Rubinstein match at the moment, Uber Driver, so I know you'd enjoy it. Looks like Marshall Rubinstein white. No, it's worse. It's worse than that. Maybe not. But this move, okay, he's really provoking, poking the bear, man. Do you want to poke that bear? That's poking the bear, bro. Poking the Miro. It doesn't take a lot to get him to go crazy. Here comes g5. And I would argue that it's kind of justified. Don't poke the bear. Now this knight on e5 needs to go, and it does go. Good. And then he goes here, where, you got to ask yourself, ancient aliens. Any aliens in Las Vegas lately? You got to ask yourself, what does this achieve for white? He's avoiding exchanges with less space. What's the principle at play here? Black has the bishop pair and arguably maybe more space, so this is a bad move. Queen d8, okay, this might be good. But again, I think, he's watching his g5. Yeah, maybe this is necessary. Because if you go here, this is really annoying. This might not be that easy. It's hard to defend g5. I guess you could play f4. So c6 or d8. Or even c7. b5, and he goes back. Yeah, I mean, white's structure is destroyed. Goichu, thanks for the donation. 500 bits. Guys, I'm off the side of the screen again. Alright. Just remind me, smack me back in the center when I start leaning over. Nice game, though. Comeback. Don't call it a comeback, but Hayes Miro was better, then he was worse, then he's better again. And then f4. No reason to be hesitant here. Look at those pieces. Now those are some good pieces you got there. That's a nice burger. That's with the Canadian if there was a Canadian version of Pulp Fiction, a Canadian Samuel L. Jackson would be like, that's a nice burger you got there. This is pretty ugly. It's getting breezy. Good thing I got the air conditioner turned on. Could that backfire, do you think? You know, I was just wondering, like, when we're going to put our bishop on the long diagonal. It's a good thing you traded your light square bishop off, white. I like this. Hope chess. Yeah, this is sick. Well, I guess there are ways black could not win this game. And now he opens the diagonal by sacking a pawn. Are we going to sack the queen here? So white has bishop takes e3. So my question is, you said you sack the queen. Like pawn takes, rook takes d8, pawn takes f2 check, king f1. And then, like, just for kicks and giggles, and we can't be too fancy here, because the knight's coming and white's going to blockade the f1 square. This is like way too fancy. This is seriously, I'm not even sure what's going on. So no, we can't do this. This is too fantastic. But you can play a standard move. You gotta play queen c7. And I think the draft is still pretty big here. But white's move is really strange. I mean, taking with the pawn. Like, what's the upside of that, really? I don't understand, you know. There was like I don't know what this is. It's like a tortoise. Look at white's pieces, how stupid they are. That's a nice box you've got there. Uber driver, once I saw Alexander Ivanov do this to an opponent who was like 2200. He just drove all of his pieces into a little square. And Ivanov was sitting there with like his pieces all over the board, like perfect coordination, and the 2200. He was higher rated than you know. He just had all what was left of his pieces in this little cubicle. And even like someone who didn't understand how to play chess could just like look at the board and not counting the material, you just know it's over. You know, I mean, this is insane. You have literally only your pieces in this little quadrant. Queen b6. I wanted to go queen d5. I wanted to get to lay claim to the diagonal. And then bishop e7. Oof. But the problem is you're closing down your white square diagonal. Your diagonal. This isn't the best way to play. Blocking your own diagonal. So you need to play queen c6 here, and then white plays e4, you know, then you do like bishop c5 check, and it's over. But f3 closing it up might not be such a clear, easy win. Clearly black is winning anyway, but you know, now you got to work at it. And he played this. Oh my god. Just because you love bishop a6. Oh man. Talk about like going the wrong direction. How did this happen? Oh man, I can't watch. It was all over. You had exactly what you wanted and you closed it down. If this goes south, I'm gonna cry. Opposite color bishops. We're probably still winning. Don't want to develop that rook or anything. I wouldn't want to develop your rook. You might want to like use it to support the A pawn. There it is. Alright, finally. The trading pieces wasn't really my preferred course of action here. White's down to 12, and black's down to 12 seconds, so he's like just freaking out. Pawn collector. 10 seconds. Look at the guy's king. He's crazy. He's like mating himself. Oh no, the confusing queen takes d4. Is that legal? This must have cost him. No, he almost immediately responded with king takes c6. That's hilarious. They're playing bullet. Black wins on time. Quality finish. Alright. Now move 11 or repunj Bansal. Let's wait and see if move 11 has arrived. No. Thanks, Goju, again, for the donation of 500 bits. Serious analysis for serious people. I'm not always serious, but about chess I am. Alright. So, quick analysis of repunj, and then we'll get to move 11. Move 11 is our last game. I don't care if you guys donate $1 million. This is the last two games. d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4, knight f6, knight c3, d6, bishop g5. I don't remember when this was played. This must be like an old game. It was from September 2020. Okay, this was a long time ago. I was playing the Rouser much more. I mean the classical with black. Bishop d7. And then white played f3. So it's a Kojal variation. The other main line is f4, of course. f3. This is a game on stream. So against f3, I guess b5. b5 would be like Kojal's preference. He's the big expert. Bishop e7 is like a different variation, I suppose. White knows the theory, apparently, with h4. Now I played b5, I guess it transposes. And then if you look at the opening explorer, there's one Shirov Ivanchuk game, but the second game in the list is correspondence. So that's pretty weird. Then you got Amador Rodriguez, short 1997. So for whatever reason, like this variation is just not played. I don't know why. And black score is okay. Yeah, knight c6 is a standard plan. I mean, you take on c6, then you reroute your other knight back to d4. But he plays g4. And then, I'm out of book. I don't really, I haven't gotten through the whole Kojal book, and I haven't had time to really study this. It was just an idea to add it to my repertoire, but I never really finished the project. So when I got to this position, I'm literally out of theory, and I don't like getting rolled. So I decided to play it like they do in the Najdorf a lot with h5. And if bishop takes f6, I guess I could take either way with the pawn or with the bishop. It seemed like a reasonable move, and it's a novelty. So the engine doesn't like it, but I don't really get knight e5. At the end of the day, here's a maneuver. If you force, you play the computer move, knight e5, which, okay, I get knight c4 as an idea. The advantage for white is +1. If you play my move, the advantage for white is +1. So, I don't know, man. I mean, I think this is a legit way to play. Knight takes c6, bishop takes c6, and then he takes on h5. So he's jettisoned his pawn structure, but still remains with a pawn, a very strong pawn on e4. If I take knight takes h5, bishop e7, queen e7, queen takes d6, and I resign against Kamsky, like I did at Foxwoods, because I'm a pawn down. But maybe it's not so simple, I don't know. I don't want to lose a pawn, really. So the plan was either to take with the rook or not take at all. I took with a rook. Oh my god. Yeah, so look at that. We transposed to Burkic Kozel 2011. We played their team. No, they were on different teams. They're on different teams. I take it back. I played against both their teams this year. I was sad I didn't get to play Kozel because our moronic board 1 got to play him. And lost like a ridiculous game with white. You get to play like a legendary Sicilian player and you play the freaking Grand Prix attack against them. It's so disgusting. I was just like grossed out. I was angry and disgusted. Rook takes h5, so bishop d3. This is a novelty. Burkic played bishop d3. Our favorite move of the day, right? The occupied octopus. But he gets the bishop developed. It protects c2, protects the stress to center. The knight can pop back without blocking the bishop. You got knight e2, knight f4, and he managed to beat Kozel. But Ripunch just like takes on f6. So this is like materialistic. If I take with the g pawn, my d6 pawn is protected, my bishop's blocked, and he has a pass to h pawn. Now how am I going to break out? How am I going to manage to achieve freedom? I could play f5 or d5 or possibly b4 and d5. But I was very concerned about the passed pawn and also the open g file. So I think this move makes more sense. And I expected Ripunch to be materialistic and take here on d6. You know, in that case, I mean, I don't have to trade queens. I didn't make up my mind at the time whether I was going to trade queens or not. But I do think that like black could trade queens and black's still fine. You know, what am I, a pawn down here? But I mean, h4 is just falling. So I can choose to trade queens or not trade queens. And my, needless to say, bishop f6 is a bad move. Bishop takes f6, and now he played king b1. You know, and at this point, black has a very good position. But I don't think I would repeat what I played in this game. I played king e7. It's kind of, I don't know. It feels kind of committal. I guess I decided I couldn't castle kingside anymore anyway, and my rook was in the game. I mean, I suppose king e7 is okay. You're kind of asking for knight d5, though. It feels a bit committal. If I had it to do over again, I probably would have played a different move here. I don't trust king e7. Bishop e2, and now I played rook c5, trying to coordinate my pieces together on the queen side, because he's starting f4. You know, I'm not even sure if that's a big deal. I could just go back. I mean, grabbing the pawn looks a little bit risky, but even that's possible. There's no reason I can't possibly play this. But the pawn's not going anywhere. I tried to coordinate on the queen side with rook c5, and he plays h5, and then b4, and then there's this crazy move e5. Freeing the e4 square for his knight. It's certainly not the first time e5 sacrifice has been played in a Richter rouser. And then, I mean, I think I would have normally played just take it. You know, I can take it. However, one way or another. But for some reason I decided to take this way. And this was a very dangerous decision. I mean, to give him a passed pawn for me was risky. G takes f, and I don't know what I expected white to play here. Most likely I would expect white to not take on c3. But he did like pawn takes c3. And I feel like Ripunch has already had me analyze this game once before. I'm not sure. But I feel like this is at least the second time I've analyzed the same game. I thought I had a strong attack here with bishop d5. And I think I was winning. We've talked about this once a couple of years ago. H6, check, king A1. And I think I missed bishop takes A2, right? I mean, this was game over, wasn't it? I had to play bishop takes A2 first. But like an idiot, you know, I did this. And then white C4. And it's interfering. And I can't afford to trade queens with the H pawn coming down, can I? Maybe I could. I could even trade queens, like queen takes, rook takes, bishop takes C4. It looks like even this works. Rook takes C4, bishop takes C4, rook takes C4, H7, and then I can defend. I'm probably not even losing there. But I stubbornly, like in blitz, time pressure, played queen A3, thinking I was winning. I mean, it looks like I still have something. But he has C3 of all things. And now I guess I can not take the pawn any longer with this. So the only chance would be like rook takes C4, which is what I did. Rook takes C4. And then bishop takes C4, bishop takes C4, expecting H7. But don't I have something here? Yeah, I have bishop A2. Bishop A2, queen takes D6 check, queen takes D6. Rook takes D6. And now I guess I might be lost. King takes D6. H8 queen. Rook takes, rook takes. Even this is unclear. If I remember correctly, you know, possible that this ending is holdable for me. Yeah, this is a draw. So I still had a way to save the game there. Even at the end. I made a whole sequence of blunders. But C3, I got upset. Rook takes C4, bishop takes C4, and then or no, he didn't play H7, that was it. Yeah, H7 doesn't win. He found rook B1. And then I lost on time. But do I have anything? Do I have anything? It doesn't work now. Bishop takes A2, queen A2, queen C3 check, rook B2. And I'm down. I mean, who knows? I don't know if I analyze this. Actually, like rook takes B2, queen takes B2, queen takes F3, H7. Yeah, play. Yeah, it's some crazy positions. Anyway, I'm surprised Repunch sent this game in. We looked at this long ago. Alright, last game with Move 11, guys. I gotta go. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Move 11, Move 11 said, "Hi, I'm submitting this game played last week in open Spanish." Anonymous versus anonymous. Move 11, you made it. Do you have your AI set to tell you when it was your turn? Alright. I'm assuming... Hello, I am here. Mr. Coffee with 500 bits. Alright. Bishop e5, a6, bishop a4, knight f6, castles. So it's a an open Roy with d4, b5, bishop e3, d5, main line. Okay. Bishop e6. So we never get to see this much. Black should be a cowboy. I'm so sick of these cowboys around here. No more cowboys and no more Vikings. No cowboys and Vikings. You can play. You go play with Thomas Reinson, Cowboys versus Vikings, okay? And I'll be here, little Johnny, to play real chess when you're ready. So okay, main line is traditionally c3. That was sort of superseded by knight on bd2. Other lines include, but not limited to, bishop e3, a4, Aliakin, and the text move queen e2. So move 11 choosing the queen e2, and I know probably the least about this move. The David Howell attack, Mr. Howell attack. Mr. Howell attack is where you just like throw money at them. You bribe them to just like resign. I'll give you $10,000 if you resign this game. 100,000. Bishop e7. Let's see, Uber driver. Hal, Mr. Howell, Thurston Howell the third. He's pretty classical, man. You know, now that I'm thinking about it, Alyakin probably played this as well, but did he play it against Uva? Really, like, Uber driver, you should know that. I think that this was another Alyakin Uva line, but I'm tired. I'm old. I'm tired, and I'm not I mean, I did analyze some of the Alyakin Uva, but never my like favorite match. You're stuck in the 70s, right? All right. Rook d1 is classic. You know, I'm not sure about bishop e7. It seems to be the main move here, though. So what's the idea? If you try to be more aggressive, white plays bishop e3. And that's like a French defense. I mean, this like exchange of bishops favors white, because that's like white's bad bishop, because these pawns are fixed on respective squares. Black has a light square pawn structure, primarily like white square pawns. So trading the dark square bishops favors white. So bishop e7. Yeah, I know. I thought I remembered like knight c5. And like, can black push this pawn with d4? Like Korchnoi style? White plays c4. So this is definitely pretty modern. Again, I'm wondering about bishop e3. Can we play just here and yeah, there's Hübner Korchnoi. Hübner Korchnoi, preventing d4 advance. Yeah, I mean, what we're hoping with white is that we get a blockade type scenario, you know, where we can, driver's talking about stuff where yield knight d4. But, I mean, we want to get yield c5 square. I think that's the important thing. If black gets those rolling, you know, that's pretty dangerous. Well, I mean, I guess we would take with the a pawn, actually. But this doesn't look like a good line. So c4 is modern. Wow, it was played in, it's not. It was played in 74 by Mecking, okay. Can we go back a move? Is it possible to, like, you know, you can't move your queen. You can castle, and you're going to get c4'd anyway. Okay. And now d4 has been played. But he plays this grabby grabby. I don't know, Brian Smith knows this stuff. I never played this line with white. I think Brian played it in a tournament here in Zalakaros. He had a game in his queen e2 line. A takes b3, knight b4. Wow. Rob Stopovich. That's a weird move, huh? Who would have expected black to not castle and play knight b4? Yeah, Korchnoi was big on Open Spanish. So maybe knight c3 is also interesting. getting this knight in the game. Well, that same guy had a game with Shankovich in 1975. So whoever the Radish is was like an early Open Spanish expert. Radishkovich has several games. So we saw c4. What's the idea here? I mean, if bc, what am I missing? No one has played b takes c. Is it that bad? I mean, you're just getting blasted. Sack the queen. What would Larry do in blitz? Just sack the queen. It's interesting, this is almost playable for black. It's only plus 1.5. Roman would play it in blitz. It's good enough to play it in blitz. Any material balance. So he just takes and then sticks the knight on b4. That's not an easy move to find. I mean, but I guess we're facing a pretty desperate situation. After takes, you know, white's going to play knight c3. Jones, Giharo, and Yuyaki. So there's some good games here, but mostly they played b4, preventing that knight from moving. That's what happens to Acerbate in the Nizovich opening or the Larson opening. You immobilize the knight on b1. But obviously it's going to get out eventually with knight d2 here. Castles. If castles, knight c3, and then knight b4. Now c takes d5, knight takes d5. Todorich won. But it doesn't look like much. So this is tricky. Knight b4. And then, like, okay, I mean, pawn takes b5 would be favored by the materialist side. Black won both games where this position arose, and the Radovich was one of them. But I mean, come on, if this was a good move, then why the hell doesn't everybody play it? They're just lucky. The fact that black won both games here has to be complete chance. I mean, look how many games there are. I mean, 31 games with b4, and these are modern strong grandmasters. If this is good, I mean, they would be playing that move. But I don't trust c takes b5. That doesn't seem right. You just gotta leave this d5 monster pawn unattended. White has to keep pressure on the center. So I like this better. Knight c3 seems right. And then black played c6. We have maneuvers like this. Here he played Uber Driver's suggestion of knight d4. Okay, this is like some random game. I really have no idea who these guys are. What's the evaluation? Plus 0.7. So Uber Driver's move actually good. And white went on to lose from a slightly better position. So this seems to be our best shot. There's a really weird move here, by the way, bishop d2 as an alternative. Computer coming up with. So this is a TN. Yeah, I mean, bishop a5 is a nice idea if you can get it in some positions in the Catalan. And I've seen it in the Spanish occasionally. My friend Emil the Farmer likes to do this from time to time. This is a pretty neat idea. But move them and just took directly. I mean, maybe this is just like not that dangerous. But knight d4, I think your idea looks reasonable. Uber Driver. I mean, going for this guy. I mean, I guess black can castle. You know, I mean, the thing is, like, I don't know how serious this weakness on e6 is. It's like a Slav or something. I mean, black can protect that, probably. It may not be that big of a deal. So it's unclear what move 11 should do here. You could build up the pressure with, like, knight c3, then he can swap. You can't swap. So knight c3, but even just castles. And this transposes Todorich Krishulevich 2018. And he did knight d4 now. And Alex played queen d7. And then knight f5. So this is pretty interesting. Knight takes d5, cd5. Oh my god, what a beautiful move. What? Master of tactics. That's why he's a grandmaster. Dude, that is just sick. That is a sick tactic. Rook takes d5. Man. So there's a build-up, the student body attack on the king side with 4 pieces now. You can't capture on d5. Because queen g4 just wins. That's a very beautiful move. But anyways, so move 11 tried something else. Let's see. Takes here. Rook takes a6. Novelty tactic. It has an air of materialism about it. But it's not like black has any other options. I mean, theoretically, you know, you're not going to play this, right? Allowing knight c3. Wow. It's even worse. So interesting game. You distracted him, you played rook takes a6. Now what if he just like castles? We're gonna grab the pawn on b5. I mean, I guess there are better ideas with this. Exchange sacrifices? No. Here. No, if you try to be too materialistic, I think you end up with like all your pieces on the back row, and black has the bishop pair, and I'm not so sure that your extra pawns are all that significant here. Yeah, this is a good example of compensation. He has excellent compensation. Rook takes a6. So probably black shouldn't even take it. Just castle. Check. You know, so this was a waste of time, in a sense, for black. He went real passive, going to an ending, 2 pawns down. I'd much rather have the queens off the board. And now, you know, you can try to grind him down. Here. Undouble my pawns, please? No? Knight d4, anyone? Oh, you want to undouble my pawns. Thanks. Thanks for undoubling my pawns. That was really nice of you. And now Material Man. We need like a superhero named Material Man. Move 11 just couldn't help himself. He was hungry. He was hangry. It's another pawn. I mean, I wonder like how winning this is. You're 2 pawns up in a rook and bishop ending. You simplify and be 2 pawns up in a rook and bishop ending, but you took this one. Kind of a little materialistic. But you've got this, I guess. b4. His bishop's pretty limited. Bishop b6. He was hangry. It's a lot of pawns. It's winning either way. Huh? Oh, you got him. I like this last move, rook d6. Oops, it was a mouse slip. So rook b6, rook b4. No tragic loss for move 11. No, it's all good. Just give away chess. All right, move 11. Interesting game. I like the Todorovic like rook takes d5 tactic we saw against Kristolovic. That's murder. But some interesting ideas there in the open Spanish. Anyway, guys, it's super late. I gotta go. I'll see you Friday morning. Thanks, Mr. Coffee, for your editing talents, and the 500 bits Mr. Coffee just donated. Anyway, everybody, thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to support the stream. We're up to 174 or 7.95% toward our trip to Sicilino. Sicilino Uber driver. The insistence of Uber driver. I will see you guys later. It's super late for me. Got to get some rest. Long analysis session. Thanks everyone for tuning in. You're welcome, Gypsy. Thank you for your donation. We're 7.95% of the way there. Thank you, Move 11, as always, for your considerate and interesting submission to the stream here. And thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it, everybody. We'll see you Friday morning with some rapid chess. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.